2060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
Hurricane season is right around the corner, and the predictions are that the 2020 hurricane season will be busier than normal, with 16 named storms predicted, 8 turning into hurricanes, and 4 growing into major hurricanes. That's according to scientists at Colorado State University. That's 3 more named storms and hurricanes, and 2 more major hurricanes than they predicted at this time last year. Do you have the hurricane coverage you need and the coverage you want for your home, condominium, or commercial property? In case a hurricane hits, call Debbie at I Will Advisors, 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. Debbie will review your policy at no charge and make sure you have the coverage you want and the coverage you need. Once a hurricane hits, it's too late. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors right now. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial what?
All righty. Welcome, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. Yes. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. And today is the 7th day of April 2020 as the coronavirus COVID-19 epidemic seems to be getting better in many, many places. You know, I haven't heard them mention Florida in the daily press conferences for a week, which I am happy about. I must say, I'm very happy that they have not. Things seem to be getting better and better all the time, although, you know, I really do believe that these Governor Cuomo pressers should not be carried nationally. And I'll tell you what, you know, I've been talking about this since the beginning of everything that is going on here. The media, the national media, is all based out of New York City. It's been that way forever. Since there's been national television, they've all been based out of New York City, even before that in the days of teletype and all of that, always out of New York City. New York City has been hit harder than any place, really, in America. New York State, too, but New York City in particular has had the most life-altering experience of most anyone else in the United States. There's no getting around that, so far as the coronavirus. And since the beginning of this, I've been telling you that because the media are based in New York, they are projecting their experiences on the rest of us. I know this is a nationwide issue. Don't misunderstand me. But New York is a worst case scenario by far. And I don't think many people would disagree with that. I mean, that's like the worst it could get is what's going on in New York City. They have had a lot of cases in the state and in the city. They have shut the city down. It's been shut down for a while. And because the national media are based there, that's their experience, so they assume that's everyone's experience. And between the media being based out of New York City and Governor Cuomo's daily press conferences about the state of New York and the city in particular, because that seems to be the focus of most things with Cuomo, for good reason, because they've been hit pretty hard, it's driving the rest of the country into some situations that I don't think we need to be in nationally. And I said this in the early days. In the early days, before the media were doing their New York-based shows from their mansions and high-rises and brownstones, and they were going to the studio, I was telling you, you know, they're being driven into work by their drivers every morning, and they're going through a city with empty streets. I know, and when they, in the early morning, people might be used to that, but when they get off the air, it's not the New York City that they they see, so they project that. You know, that's human nature. Everyone does that. Whenever anyone is dealing with something, they assume everyone's dealing with it. So we've got that problem. And then Governor Cuomo's press conferences, you know, most of the governors have regular press conferences. Most of them. Ron DeSantis here in Florida does. Governors around America, including Newsom in California, big old state out there, they have regular press events. But it's only Governor Cuomo's that are covered live. And part of the reason that is again, because the media are based out of New York. They're interested in that. Because that's their city, their state, their governor. So the media are concerned about New York more than anywhere else because that's where they live. I understand that. I get it. But what Governor Cuomo's press conferences are doing every day is driving a news cycle that is projecting the worst case scenarios, which we're seeing in the state of New York and New York City in particular, taking the worst case scenarios in America and projecting that that's the way it is throughout America. And I'm starting to think that the country is not going to be normal till New York is normal because the media are just not going to accept. I was listening to a guy, I was watching early this morning, I was doing my show prep, had it on in the background, Fox and Friends, this early morning live edition, and they had some guy on, well, until there's a vaccine, we're going to be not doing anything. What? Come on. We cannot live like the boy in the plastic bubble. John Travolta, remember that great movie with John Travolta? I'm kind of like the last scene of the boy in the plastic bubble, quite frankly. I want the country, except for these hardest of hit areas like New York City, to get back to normal. I think things are more back to normal than you may realize. I've been talking about this for weeks. Richie, the bus driver, gets upset with me. I think it depends on where you live. I think it depends on what you do. But for the most part, most people are living their lives as close to normal as they possibly can. Most people I know, most everyone I know is working full time. They may be doing it from home, but they're working. Now I know there's certain industries that are being shut down. Nail salons, hair salons, malls. Restaurants are open for takeout only, and I understand that, and it's taken a hit. But most people I know are working. They're working full time, and they want things to get back to normal. And so do I. But when I watch the press conferences, it seems to me that the media don't want things to ever get back to normal. Doesn't it seem that way to you? Seems that way to me. What is normal? Well, there's going to be a new normal. Come on. We cannot be locked in our homes until we are completely safe from sickness and injury, from anything. Every time you get out of your house and get in your car and go on the road, you're taking a risk. And statistically, there are acceptable risks that we each take each and every moment of our lives and have since, we've been on this earth. You can't say until people will know. I heard a guy on Fox this morning. It really upset me. And that's why I'm talking about this. Until there are no more new cases, we're going to have to live this way. Are you kidding me? Until not one person in America gets sick, we're going to have to shut down every business? Rent payments, mortgage payments, car payments, boom, just passed. What's going on? Oh, well, they don't have to pay their rent. Well, what about the guy that owns the building they're renting? Or what about the bank that people pay the mortgage to? Or the credit card companies? Or the finance companies for the auto? Are you kidding me? A $1,200 check ain't going to cut it. And, I believe the country should have gotten back, as the president originally said, over Easter. I think we should have had our Easter weekend and then, boom, get back to as much normal activities with precautions as possible. Yesterday, if you follow me on YouTube, which you should, Brian Craig on YouTube, I upload videos all the time on YouTube. I upload the radio show, I upload my podcast, but I also upload videos that I make all the time up on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig on YouTube. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and it's free, Brian Craig on YouTube. Yesterday, I made a YouTube video about this. I went to Bank of America. I had to go inside the bank and to the lobby, which I've not been. I go to the bank where there's some things I have to do that I like to do with a person. There are certain transactions I don't like to do at the automated teller machine. That's just me. I'm paranoid. I'm old, whatever it is. But there's some things I like to go into the bank and do and deal with someone. So about once a month, I go inside my bank and into the lobby and wait in line and go to a teller or the person at the door will help me. And yesterday I went in the bank and it blew my mind. I made a YouTube video about this. You can go and see it. But everyone inside the bank except me and one other guy were wearing masks. Everyone in the bank was wearing masks, including the tellers. The office staff, the tellers, the customers were all wearing masks, except me and one other guy. And there were two guys in there that were wearing masks made of bandanas, wrapped around, like the old days of the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid bank robbers or stagecoach in the Westerns. I couldn't believe. And a month ago, if I'd gone into a bank and someone walked in with a mask, people would be like, whoa, what's going on? And the hands would go up in the air. So everyone was wearing a mask, including the tellers, and this was at Bank of America. And the Bank of America tellers were not wearing cheap old masks. They were wearing the proper masks. The proper masks that people wear for such things, they kind of look like a duck bill. I've got some of these myself. And they were wearing masks. And I've been going to this bank lobby for years. I know the tellers. I didn't know who anyone was because they were all wearing masks. And on the floor, Bank of America had professionally printed things on the floor about stand here every 6 feet. They had the markings for the social distancing every 6 feet, but they were well done, well produced, high quality stickers on the floor that are meant to be permanent. A lot of places put blue tape down and make an X. It wasn't like that. This was a professional thing. And as I have been going through this past weekend, after that I went to Publix, and almost everyone at Publix was wearing masks as well. And over the past, 3 or 4 days, I've noticed a big difference in all the retail stores, because I still go out and about. I do pretty much everything I was doing before this, I'm doing now. Pretty much everything. Life must go on, okay? And I'm sure many of you have noticed this too as you go out. Publix was the first place I saw this. When I was over at Ace Hardware in Deerfield, I saw it, and I've seen it at other retailers as well. The retailers have gotten these plexiglass shields to separate customers from the cashiers all over the place, which I think is spectacular. People are social distancing on their own without the little markings on the ground. So there has been a change in society's behavior, right? People are social distancing on their own. Businesses are taking all kinds of precautions. So our behaviors have changed to a point where most things can get back to normal. And it really should happen, as the president said, at the end of this month, May 1st, we should start moving into reopening things and getting people back to normal. It's going to be a transition because people are scared. From the beginning of this, I talked about this in the early days. From the beginning of this, I said on the air many times, my fear is not of the coronavirus because we're taking precautions. We're doing all kinds of things. People are wearing masks. People are washing their hands, social distancing, these other things I was telling you about at the retail stores, which is great. People aren't shaking hands any longer. You know? And I told you what I have been more concerned about is not coronavirus, but the economy, the long-term effects on the economy. And that's what the president's talking about when he says we don't want the cure to be worse than the disease. That's what he has been talking about, and other people around President Trump. Now, that's just my take. Now, I understand there are certain areas that are in much worse shape than others, like the New York City area. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, pretty bad up there. There's some pockets around the country, you know, that would have to take extra precautions than these. But I think the precautions that we are taking now, behavior-wise, so many people wearing masks, people washing their hands, people social distancing, these shields at retail establishments. I think the American behavior has changed to such an extent right now that May 1st we can get everything back up and running, back to normal. So I've been saying this for a while. I've been trying to get things back to, I know a lot of people don't. You know, these press people, my goodness, it's easy for them to say. These people in the White House press corps still getting their big, fat, overpaid paychecks. They're not missing a beat. But the workforce of this country, my goodness. Does your heart not go out to them? In some of these states, it's rough out there. What's going on with people in New York? Oh my goodness. And sure, they're getting breaks up in New York on mortgage payments, rent payments, car payments, but that's a break for now. Eventually, they got to get paid. And what they're doing is they're extending their financial obligations. What will happen is they'll add payments to car payments and mortgages, probably. We don't really know. But how that's going to work, we haven't really dealt with that yet. But you can't keep America locked up in their homes in our major cities. Yeah, they want to close down grocery stores now in some areas. Again, in certain areas, things need to be different than in other areas until we get through this. But keeping people under house arrest indefinitely, that's not the way to live, and that's not something that I think is acceptable. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. And you know, the media, when it comes to the media, what is their end game? I'll keep it open phone somewhat today. Our number 1-888-GO-CANE1, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call from anywhere, no matter where you are listening, no matter where you are watching us. Give us a call live on the air, 888-465-2631. That's 888-465-2631. All right, let's take our first break of the day. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. I promise you that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You've heard Steve Kane talk about the great work and the incredible prices at Dr. Gupta's Brighton Dental. Richie the bus driver called Steve Kane on the air and told him about his experience at Brighton Dental.
Good morning. I have to talk about Brighton Dental because your sponsor is a miracle worker. I broke my tooth. I fractured it and it went backwards in my mouth.
Oh my God.
Front top tooth. I put it back into the socket. It felt like it was falling out. I had pain. I couldn't even eat spaghetti. And I was going to a wedding in New York 2 days later, and I said, what am I going to do, you know? And the dentist here wanted to charge me $120 just to look at it and to tell me he couldn't do anything. I went to Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. I traveled 139 miles. I would do it again in a heartbeat, each way. Okay, the man sat and worked on my tooth for 2 hours, put a pen in it, put it back in place. I could eat anything I want. He said it was temporary. He did such a great job. It feels like permanent. I have no pain. I can eat anything I want now. And the fact of the matter, this is what really was unbelievable. I was getting on the bus to go to the reception, okay, in New York City. He knew I was in New York. The phone rings. Who do you think's on the line?
Dr. Gupta.
Right. He wants to see if everything is going okay and if I'm in any pain. The guy is unbelievably wonderful. I mean, thank you so much.
Steve Kane Show.
I wouldn't have been able to eat. I wouldn't have been able to go. I would have looked like a pumpkin.
Everybody needs a great dentist, and of course, for you Steve Kane listeners, you have one, Dr. Gupta, and he's been over there at Brighton Dental. He takes really good care of you. He's very conscientious. He's, dentistry is an art when you stop and you think about it. And Dr. Gupta certainly is an
Steve Kane
artist,
Show.
and we're so pleased to have him with us.
Yeah,
Steve
I
Kane
just
Show.
wanted them to know if you need a dentist, and the guy
Hold on.
is so good at what he does. He's so gentle, and I mean, I don't like dentists. This guy is top shelf, and I'm going down to him to get it permanently put in. But right now, I don't have any pain. I can eat anything I want. Incredible.
Take Richie the bus driver's advice and go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. Call 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right, yeah, and I want to tell you, all of the Steve Kane sponsors, including Dr. Gupta, open for business, seeing patients, seeing customers, and Dr. Gupta, as always, offering free exam, free x-rays, and free second opinion. Make sure you mention the Steve Kane Show when you call to take advantage of the free exam and free x-rays. Dr. Gupta's number, 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633. That's Dr. Gupta's Brighton Dental. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning. You are on the radio.
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, speak of the devil.
They are listening to you with your opening monologue. Okay. I've been showing out of these. But let me ask you a question, Brian. I agree. Matter of fact, I agree 100% with what you said this morning. 150%. But then again, I say to myself, you as a person,
thanks, Beverly.
usually take out. I don't think you go with Kathy. Do you go with Kathy and sit in restaurants?
No, we don't sit in restaurants because you can't do that right now. We do takeout. But yeah, we go. We have every day. My wife and I go out and get lunch every day. Every day. Well, that's all you can do right now.
So normally you could go sit down with her in restaurant.
We mostly do takeout. No, we don't. No, we usually do takeout every day, even before all this.
I think to protect Kathy.
No, because we don't know. No. The reason we do takeout is not to protect her from. No, she's not John Travolta in The Boy in the Plastic. This is before coronavirus. The reason we do takeout is just because we like to go and eat at home. We go home and eat. We go take out. We go home and eat. We rarely go and sit in restaurants. Very rare, ever.
My point being.
Appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much.
Masks, and I just put them on. Actually, I think it was yesterday or the day before. The day before was the first time that we did anything like that was because the doctors during the press conference, not watching Fox, watching the president's news conference, they said that they realize now that this virus is airborne more than touch. Before they thought it was surfaces a lot, but now they realize somebody just talking to you within 6 feet can give you this stuff. So the bottom line, that's why they're having people cover up. Now, question to you, and personally, I think you're right 150%, but do you honestly think where you live in Boca Raton that they're going to be able to open up all these restaurants to sit down and eat in restaurants that you have just by the mall and all those restaurants, or TG Fridays and all of them? You think, not Fridays, rather, the Cheesecake Factory and all these, you think that these restaurants people are just going to storm out of their houses and they're all going to pack into these places immediately?
A lot. No, it's going to be a transition because the people are scared. Some restaurants will be packed. Yeah, I think some people will rush out. Not everybody. There'll be a transition. What do you mean by that?
Boca, West Palm Beach, Boca, Broward County, and Dade County are very heavily populated. For those people that don't live in Florida, it's the biggest population comes out of West Palm Beach, Broward, and what do you call it,
Dade County, where we are, yeah.
And So, and that's, I don't know, what county is that? Is that Orange County?
It's in Orange and Osceola. It's in both counties, actually.
Bottom line is this. I don't believe Disney World's going to open up. Because I think they're going to, or if they open up, I think their attendance is going to take such a hit.
Well, no, I told you they're going to open. They're taking. We talked about this last week. Walt Disney World's taking hotel reservations for June 1st, so they're going to start opening up June 1st, in some way, shape, form, or another. What that is, we don't know. They haven't said, but yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying things are going to get back to normal right away, but we need to start moving towards that.
I think it's going to get back to normal in places like in the Midwest that haven't got hit hard at all. And I think,
Well, yeah, where there are very few people and very little activity. I mean, give me a break.
we're telling where you live, I don't see it back to normal for a while because I think people are scared to death. It's not just people like me scared to death.
Well, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen when we get the okay from the president that we're opening up and everything. What's going to happen after that is you're going to see Democrats in the media try to keep the country closed. They're going to fight it, like they fight everything with Trump. And unfortunately, in South Florida, we're in Democrat towns. And regardless of what happens, Democrats are going to oppose anything a Republican administration does. So when Fauci and Birx, if they were to get up there with President Trump any day and say, let's get back to normal, you're going to find Democrats nationwide fight that. And I'll tell you one thing, I think some of these Democrat officials enjoy the power they have over people. You know, they have a tremendous power, you know, and when I heard Fauci in one of the press conferences over the weekend talk about how he was out walking the streets with his wife and he saw the people social distancing in lines at restaurants, you know, around the city waiting for takeout. And he was admiring that. You know what Fauci says? Look, I did that. You know, like Trump would walk around New York and point out, I built that. That building, I built that. Fauci and a lot of these people like Cuomo have tremendous power right now that emperors do not enjoy in history. And a lot of these people don't want it to end. I think they enjoy the power and influence many of them are having.
Well, I can only tell you that the lady across the street has a little girl that's immune deficient. She's got problems, and she's a Girl Scout. And two of her people in her Scout, one family has two girls in it that just got it, and they don't know where it came from. And the grandfather, I think, is getting it, has it. And there's 6 people in the house. Bottom line is this: the power is in the bug. It's the unseen, they've got to the point where you can't go to a restaurant and eat without a mask over your face. How long do you think that's? In other words,
Okay, so what do you think is the end game here, Richie?
it's going to take the confidence of the American people, which.
See, Richie, your perspective. I was talking about this yesterday. You're retired. You're retired on a fixed income where you get the checks every month, so you don't care. And I drive, and so you don't care because no matter what happened, not in the same way. No. Let me finish, and then you talk. No matter what happens, you've got your pension, Social Security, whatever, your fixed income coming in. You know, my neighborhood is mixed with retired people and working people. And I see a lot of working people that have kids, and some of them are really young that are new in the neighborhood. And I'm thinking, my goodness, you know, those are the people I'm thinking about. And, you know, your world's a different world than that. And
You see, you have this assumption that I don't think about the other people. I 150%.
You're a lot like these movie stars that say sit at home because they're you're not a multimillionaire, I don't think, but they're millionaires and they can sit home for years. It doesn't matter, and they get the residuals from everyone watching all their crap on Netflix and Amazon Prime. They get residuals from that. But they're even getting residuals from the free HBO that people are getting now on the apps to stay at home during the pandemic. The workforce of this country needs to get back to work, and I think there are acceptable risks, and I think with the precautions that we're taking, and people that are high risk taking extra precautions, it's time to get most of the country back to normal life.
Okay, here's the deal. I am on a fixed income. I do have money coming in. I do sympathize. I sympathize for the bus driver in Broward County that's got to still work with this crap going on, okay? And stuff like that, because I understand that they're out there you're out there in public, and it's very dangerous out there right now. And I do understand that families need to make money because they have kids. They have bills up the kazoo, and I can't imagine what they're going through. I'm only inconvenienced. So I do see this also, but I also see the fact that if they didn't do what they did, and you still can't come to grips with this, if they didn't do what they did, I think this would be. My cousin, by the way, is the captain for Delta Airlines. You met him on the cruise ship. He's a captain of airlines, and he's basically not working. So and they got bills up to. I understand where all this is coming from, but you think that everything's going to go back to normal, and I'm telling you, when you have sporting events, you think people are going to go see football games and sit next to each other like that?
Well, things may not go back to the normal that we remember. You know, it's going to be kind of like 9/11. It took a while for things to get back after 9/11. You know what I mean? You know, so no, I'm not saying they're going to flip a switch and everything's going to be back to normal. But I heard this guy on Fox this morning, and I really became physically ill. I was really upset. And I don't let things on TV upset. He says, until there's a vaccine, we're all going to have to stay in our houses. Well, gee whiz.
Just what he said, and I heard other people say, the truth is, until there's a vaccine for this thing, this bug is going to be around us, and we have to live with it.
You know, and you talk about, precautions. I'm in a very unique situation because I'm in a job when I'm at work working right now. I'm in isolation. Even when Steve is here, we're in two separate studios that are separated and pretty soundproof. We're in an office building, but people don't really come to work until after we leave inside the office building. But I still do things. I meet with sponsors. I've got a meeting this morning after the show that I'm going to go to. What do you mean go on top of them?
I mean, do you keep your 6 feet from them when you talk to them now?
Oh yeah, we're probably not as close as we normally would be. Yeah, I've had several meetings in the last week or two, and it's a little different than the old meetings, but I still have meetings. And because of my wife's health condition, I'm in an extra high risk group. So for example, when I go home today, I have a meeting today after the show. When I am done with that meeting, I'll do what I do most days. I'll change clothes when I go home. Sometimes, yeah, those are the kind of things I do.
I want to say this to you. I want everyone to go back to work today, but what would happen if they did? Would the Cheesecake Factory be packed?
Well, not everything is the Cheesecake Factory. What I'm talking about, well, restaurants are important. Absolutely. Restaurants are important. There's no doubt about it.
They depend on people coming in. This takeout is a convenient thing for us to keep them open.
Most people that I know that, throughout my life that have worked in restaurants, waiters, waitresses, are usually parents, oftentimes single parents. How are they right now paying for food? And I see what's going on around listen, we're all concerned about ourselves and our personal situation. I'm okay, and you're okay. But what I'm seeing on TV, I see a press that have no path to this ever ending. And that's not good. I am tired of hearing we're all in this together. Really, most people don't earn $400,000 a year to sit on outnumbered for an hour every day or something, or have to do a second hour. So, we're not really all in this together. Everyone's situation is very, very different. And we are going to feel the effects of this for a decade or more economically if things don't get back together soon.
My opinion is that thank God that Trump is there, and he's going to open up the country, which I agree with. I want people to go. You see, I don't think what we're doing now is going to be able to help people in restaurants. The beaches can open because people can stay separate. The sporting events won't open at all.
Well, I went to. Well, listen, Richie, I'm late for a break, but thanks for the call. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Dr. Matez, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. You and I talk about cognition all the time when I call in. We have so many different options to try to help people with their cognition here. I will repeat what I say all the time. This is called age management, folks. It's not just, hey, come in, get some hormones and feel better. We have options. Hormones, by the way, is one of the greatest ways to get your cognition back, get your hormones back. We have other options. One of the biggest things going on these days is peptide therapy. These are actually FDA-approved therapies that are designed to help you regain your cognition. We have vitamins, intravenous vitamin therapies that are designed. All of these things, by the way, are absolutely 100% natural. This is exactly how the body is designed to have cognition. And Mr. Biden could avail himself of all of these things. Anybody out there, particularly if you identify with Joe Biden's problems here, a lot of us can. Come and talk to us. We can fix your cognition. It's pretty cool.
You know, I'll tell you, Dr. Mitch Matez, a lot of people assume with aging, oh, well, these things are going to happen. I'm going to lose my sex drive. I'm going to lose my hair. I'm going to want to sleep in the middle of the day. I'm not going to have energy. I'm not going to be able to remember, forgetting things. That's just part of aging. Well, these things are true, but you can do something about it with hormone replacement pellet therapy. And hormone replacement pellet therapy is a totally 100% natural process, right? These are natural hormones that your body makes naturally.
That is correct. Everything I'm talking about is natural. The peptides are proteins that are in your body that are specifically designed to improve the health of your cells. You know, by manipulating these things, we can help people get energy. We can help them lose body fat, increase their lean muscle mass, improve the health of their arteries, fix their fatty livers. You know, there's a whole lot of things that can be done. It's all safe. It's all effective. It's all pretty easy. But you have to come and see us if you want to get it done.
Well, that's the first step. And the consultation with Dr. Mitch Matez, if you mention the Steve Kane Show, is totally free. So
Steve
call
Kane
his
Show.
office, mention the Steve Kane Show, avail yourself of the
Steve
no-charge
Kane Show.
consultation with Dr. Mitch Matez.
Hello?
561-953-5490. 561-953-5490. Online, hormonetherapy.bocaratone.com. All right, Dr. Matez, we will talk later in the week.
Yes, we will. Have a great day, Brian. Thank you very much.
Take care.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Avoid probate with a revocable living trust. $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices in South Florida, including downtown Fort Lauderdale, Coral Gables, and downtown Miami. 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search.
All right. Yes. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. All right, let's go back to our phones. You are on the radio. Good morning.
Hi, Brian. Good morning. This is Bob from Pompano.
Hey.
I'd like to just make a comment about this virus that's running around. I don't think it's as contagious as people are suspecting it to be. Take this fellow Como, Chris Como. I switched over to that last night. He's on with some doctor and lamenting how terrible it is. But he was with his wife for a couple of days or a week or so. They didn't get anything, his children. And so are those people in the press room not wearing masks. I mean, people are acting like this is the...
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point you make. I don't know if it's not as contagious as they say, but, somebody a couple weeks ago, without telling us who it was mentioned that someone from the White House press corps tested positive. They never told us who it was. And I didn't hear about any other members catching it. And you're right, Chris Cuomo, I saw an update this morning. He does leave the basement like once a day. He walks around the house or something outside, to stretch his legs, I read this morning. And his wife and kids have not tested positive so far as I know, and that's a good thing. Hopefully that'll continue. But, yeah, I feel bad for Chris Cuomo. First off, he's been so bullied by his brother his whole life. What a terrible big brother he has. I mean, he still bullies him. He's a creep.
The medication that they're giving people. I I had a pneumonia years ago. It felt like this coronavirus. And when I say years ago, I have little children now in my late 70s. And believe me, it knocked me in my rear for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I wasn't up to par for a year. I mean, it really was the lungs and everything else. And it can be bad. And the kids didn't get anything. My wife and I were very sick. My parents brought food to us, left us at the door, and left. I mean, and I remember passing out. I was so ill from it.
Well, listen, no, coronavirus is pretty bad. I mean, look, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, is in intensive care right now as we speak. And, so...
Changes they reported to me.
Well, listen, the number of people who have gotten it is much lower than predictions, and maybe it's true. What they'll tell us, it's because we've taken all of these precautions. But I have seen, to me, the media, because that's what drives everything. The media see no end game. I don't see, and also they seem hostile to anything to treat this other than this vaccine, which is far off into the future. This malaria drug, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I've heard a lot of doctors say very good things about it. I've heard a lot of doctors on television be suspect of it. But the media, they seem very hostile to anyone who says anything positive about it. They really have a thing about that malaria drug. And I agree with Trump. What do you got to lose? It's an FDA-approved medication. So we know it's not going to kill people. Oh, absolutely.
We wouldn't put his rear end on a lawn with it.
No doubt.
Amen. The story. I'm kind of lonely here all alone, and my wife and I. We're exports from New York City, 25 years now, and I'm writing emails to people, and they really hate Trump. I mean, I just sent some pictures of grandchildren sheltering in place with their dogs. Funny picture, some relative up there, and they said, yes, well, it's a funny picture. Thanks for sending it. It'd be much better without Trump at the helm. They hate this man. I mean, I don't know why they hate him. I love Trump. I think Trump is the best thing in the world. I mean, he's great. Well,
they hate him because he's got an R next to his name. If he would have run as a Democrat, they'd love him. In fact, I'll give a prime example of this. Governor Cuomo with his press conferences is such a troll. I do watch them most days because they are entertaining. He's such a nut. But what he does is he incorporate, I follow this very closely. I know I don't go through the minute little things that are done everywhere because I don't think that's interesting to talk about on the air. But if you look at all the things that have been done for New York State and New York City in particular, it's all been Trump. The 4 hospitals, the Javits Center Hospital, the hospital ship, the protective gear for hospitals and police. It's all Trump, not Cuomo. And Cuomo comes out every morning and takes credit for everything Trump has done and says the same thing Trump said either the day before or will say in his daily press conference because he gets that early briefing that they give the governors. And when Cuomo says the same things Trump says, the media just think it's brilliant. Oh, President Cuomo! And then Trump says, oh, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, Don Lemon was talking about last night. So come on.
Speaks straight from the hip. And like my daughter said, I wish he'd be more president. Not to use words.
He is presidential. He's presidential.
What's hitting him?
Look at that! Look at that exchange. Did you see the President Trump press conference yesterday?
Well, let's do it this.
Okay. Now, yesterday there was this fantastic exchange with this Chinese journalist at the White House. He says, "Who are you with? Is that state TV?" She lied. She says, "No, it's a private company," which is not true. And Trump had a conference. I think that confrontation he had with Jonathan Karl. I'm going to play these later on the show, where Jonathan Karl he brought up that inspector general acting as if they were someone newly appointed by Trump, and they'd recently gotten a promotion, but they were part of the Obama administration. These exchanges are important because if Trump didn't have these daily press conferences, the media would be he makes it difficult for the media to make things up because he's out there every day telling people live what's going on, and so many people are home around the country watching it. because of these shutdowns around America, the media can't spin or make things up in the way they used to. And these 2.5 hour pressers every day that he's doing are vital.
I want to take that off. They don't want to show that CNN.
No, they want President Cuomo on every day, who yeah.
Exactly. But no, my daughter says wish he'd be more of a statesman, but I think he is a statesman. I think you have to be like this. You have to hit back. We've had presidents, Republicans, Democrats, a bunch of whips, and these people walked all over us.
Yeah.
All over the world. I mean, even these wars we're having, we're fighting trillions of dollars and letting we can't.
No doubt. And what's their end game? When this guy I heard on Fox today, I did not catch his name. It was in the 5 o'clock hour. I was listening as I was doing my show prep in the background, and he said we got to continue this way until there's a vaccine. There was a rabbi on who was talking about what a terrible thing is a Jew to want to get out now. And I don't know if any of you heard this. And I'm like, are you what? We're not, in this. And I do not like this phrase. We are all in this together. That pisses me off. It pisses me off. By the way, that's a lie. You know where that comes from? We're all in this together. It's a lyric from a song in High School Musical. We're all in this together is the big song from High School Musical. And I've seen High School Musical a bunch of times. I like High School Musical. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, that's where that came from.
He puts me to sleep. I'm sorry, I can't get over him. I love Tucker and Hannity and his nice guy and whatnot, but that's why I switched over to listen to Fredo last night.
Yeah, Fredo. You got to feel bad for Chris. I feel bad for Chris Cuomo, not just now, but anytime, because the way that I've seen him treated by his brother in the last week or two in these press conferences, he did that, when very inappropriate. He spent a press conference. He spent a press conference last week going through Chris Cuomo's whole life, judging him in a negative way and degrading him in that press conference, and because he's pissed off at him for getting coronavirus.
Sleep. Let me tell you something. If you can't sleep at night, record Andrew Cuomo, Governor Cuomo. Don't put you.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I got to run. Last break of the first hour. Thanks for the call. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We got to take our break. We'll be back. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. Don't go anywhere.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beat. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
We are chatting today with Frank, the owner of two magnificent Ace Hardware stores. One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway. And the other, Beach Ace Hardware, located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, half a block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the sea. How many years have you owned this business?
I've been in the hardware business for over 40 years, Steve.
If I have a home project that I'm doing, there are so many around the house, that's the big thing today. What's the difference of my experience if I go to Ace Hardware as opposed to these major impersonal chain stores?
Oh, there's a huge difference. The basic difference is customer service. We're an old-time fashion hardware store. We have experienced people that are working our stores. Our employees are just top-notch. They're very experienced. They know their business. When you're doing a project, you
you can come into the store and you can get somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that will like to work with you, they'll find you the right project, the right pieces, the first time, so you can get in and out with the right materials.
There are lots of Ace Hardware stores, but there are only 2 that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
Welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Those of you that are new to the program, welcome. Welcome. We are live in the mornings from 6 until 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Overnight rebroadcast 7 nights a week on 4 different radio stations. That's right. I'll go through them real quick with you for people that are new. And Monday through Friday, we are on midnight till 9 a.m. weekdays. Midnight until 9 a.m. We also have the overnight rebroadcast on the weekends. And on the radio here in South Florida, you can listen to us on AM 1470, 95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM as well. You can also listen to us on the iHeartRadio app and the TuneIn app. Search for us by our station call letters, WWNN, 2 W's, 2 N's. Tell your friends to tell their friends about the Steve Kane Show. This is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida, on the air since 1977. I have not been a part of it all those years, but most of them, believe it or not. I'm embarrassed to tell you how long I work with Steve, but it's been a long time, most of my life. Actually, I've worked with Steve the vast majority of my life, and pretty much all my adult life I've been doing. It's a long time, and this is the greatest talk radio show in America. I'll put this show up against any show, anywhere. All right, let's go back to our phones. Good morning. You are on the radio.
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
You know, you're right. And look, I'll say this to you, about the Democrats. Russia said it before about the Democrats. What's good for America is bad for the Democrats. And what's bad for America is good for the Democrats. Think about it. Everything they've thrown at Trump, they try to get him out of office, has failed, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Yeah. That is true.
What comes up? This coronavirus sends everybody home. Things are closed. The economy is bad, and there are wild, big swings on a daily basis on the stock market, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've got that going on, and you got now. Yeah, Trump would like to get this thing open as soon as possible, and I disagree with Richie there about these huge sporting events not being open. I mean, yeah, we're probably not going to get baseball season. We're probably not going to get that, but the NFL and the college football season probably would.
Listen, there's all this talk about World War II and the post 9/11 era. After 9/11, that first New York Yankees game after 9/11 was attended by President Bush, George W. Bush, and not too far away from him was Rosie O'Donnell. And Rosie O'Donnell, lifelong Democrat, she got up, supported President George W. Bush. She was at that game. She was proud of him for attending that game. There was a national unity. There is no national unity now. The New York and Washington press corps hate President Trump to such an extent that they are causing division during this very terrible time. And I'm here to tell you that it is my anecdotal opinion, because that outside of the major areas like the New York City area and hard-hit areas, that with the changes that have taken place with social distancing and other things in our society, behavioral changes, we can get back to pretty much normal by these new changes that we've all made. Social distancing, the big one, a lot of people wearing masks, washing our hands more, all of these things that I've been talking about and that you all know about. It's time to get America back to work, in my opinion.
Did you see what the Texas governor said? He said he's deemed that religion is an essential thing.
Well, here in Florida, too, the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, said that he doesn't even think they have the power to close down houses of worship. So houses of worship, regardless of what religion it is, are open for business here in Florida as well.
So yeah, if those things can get open for business, now granted, Texas has kind of closed the border with Louisiana because of the thing with New Orleans.
Yeah, so have we. Florida has too. You can't cross the. Yeah, you're being locked in there.
Right. So yeah, that too. But and we have a Democratic governor and stuff here that I don't know what he's doing, but I would assume that he's not. Our Democrats down here, for the most part, aren't, except for that doggone mayor of New Orleans, who is an idiot, but that's neither here nor there. The governor here is not quite as liberal as, say, Cuomo or, the mayor of Los Angeles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or even those guys in those 3 counties in Florida,
Yeah.
They're very, very liberal.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect that he's going to make the same sort of.
Well, here's where I think we're going. I do believe come May 1st, President Trump is going to make the transition to opening up the country again. And there are 2 things that are going to happen with that when he does that. One, you're going to have the media and the Democrats nationwide fight it. No, we want the country closed forever, And I was talking last week about how Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, in their text messages when they were first released, Lisa Page texted Strzok that she went out and bought a copy of All the President's Men, and that's their guidebook for Trump. And what I feel like the liberal guidebook is right now is not All the President's Men, but Grapes of Wrath. They want us, driving out and Grapes of Wrath, people know. If you don't know, you should. If you don't know, I don't have time to explain what the reference means. And that seems to be their guidebook right now. And, that's very upsetting to me. So you're going to see the Democrats and the media fight Trump. Things will start to open. And then every time someone gets sick or dies, it's going to change. They're going to blame Trump for every death in the future. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a rough transition. It's going to be, because that's what they're going to do. It's going to be terrible. They do this all. They're doing it now. They did it during the Iraq War, and that's what they're going to do. Trump's got some tough times ahead. And I'll tell you, I watched that press conference yesterday. Pence needs some time off. He did not look well yesterday. He looked so exhausted. And also, Pence looked like he's lost a lot of weight to me. Yeah.
This whole, he needs some time off, and he's lost a little weight, but he still looks more presidential than Joe Biden.
Well, that's not saying much. I mean, he knows what year it is. He knows, Joe Biden. And it was nice of President Trump to say nice things about Joe Biden yesterday. Not that Joe Biden would say anything nice about the president, but Pence yesterday. Now he's running this whole coronavirus task force. His cheeks look sunken in, like he's really lost some weight. And I was watching him stand up there for quite some time on the stage while everyone was talking during that presser yesterday, and he looked like, I thought he was going to fall asleep and fall off the stage. He is exhausted, Pence. He needs a few days off.
Yeah, he needs a few days off here and there, and that's the thing. This is the thing that the Democrats don't understand. These 2 people, Trump and Pence, are doing a job. You got the CEO and you got the COO, and that's what.
Yeah.
These two guys are giving us the leadership we so desperately need right now.
Yeah. All right, Mike in Louisiana, I got to run for a break, but thanks for the call. It's 2 minutes after 7. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Indeed it is. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
When you need drug or STD testing, you want to keep it private. After all, that's no one's business but yours. At Any Lab Test Now of Boca Raton,
Good morning.
they guarantee the lowest price on all of their thousands of tests. And all their testing is completely confidential. Drug and STD testing start at just $49. Drug testing results are available on the spot. No appointment necessary, no doctor's order or prescription, and be in and out in 15 minutes or less. Any Lab Test Now of Boca Raton is located at 23016 Sandalfoot Plaza on the east side of 441, just a few doors down from Western Beef. If you have any questions, call 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now of Boca Raton. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on The Steve Kane Show.
This is Steve Kane for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living trust. Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity. You have to know that you're dealing with an honest person. I had to go up to Myrtle Beach with my sister because her husband died, and I was helping her out. She had a trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997. And, you know, Barry says every 3 years at least you got to... I called Barry's office because I had a question. I let the secretary know. I said, look, I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different. And I'm just asking...
Well, good morning, everyone.
...for my sister. Now, you know, most people just...
Make sure you subscribe.
Right? You know, almost immediately, within a few minutes, Barry himself called me. I asked my questions and so on, and he answered. He was very patient. I'm quite a while with him. And I talked about a lot of things, you know, and this and that. But I want to say, you know, character, integrity, these are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors, because I've dealt with a lot of them, they all have that you can trust them and you know you're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA-3782. Tell them Steve sent you.
Hurricane season is right around the corner, and the predictions are that the 2020 hurricane season will be busier than normal, with 16 named storms predicted, 8 turning into hurricanes, and 4 growing into major hurricanes. That's according to scientists at Colorado State University. That's 3 more named storms and hurricanes, and 2 more major hurricanes than they predicted at this time last year. Do you have the hurricane coverage you need and the coverage you want for your home, condominium, or commercial property? In case a hurricane hits, call Debbie at I Will Advisors, 954
Thank you, Lisa.
753-8080. 954-753-8080. Debbie will review your policy at no charge and make sure you have the coverage you want and the coverage you need. Once a hurricane hits, it's too late. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors right now. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for...
All right, we are back. Hour number 2 has begun. My name is Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Welcome, one and all, back to the program. You know, this story was in the Detroit Free Press. The president tweeted this story, and you may have heard it. Many of you may have not heard this story. Detroit rep, who, by the way, is a Democrat, Detroit representative says hydroxychloroquine, that's the malaria drug, she was given. She says Trump helped save her life amid the COVID-19 fight. I don't know if the malaria drug works or not. I'm not a doctor. But I do notice that the media don't seem to want it to work and are very hostile towards anyone that talks about it. Listen to this. A Democratic state representative from Detroit is crediting hydroxychloroquine, this is in the Detroit Free Press I'm reading, and Republican President Donald Trump for saving her life in her battle with the coronavirus. State Rep Karen Wissett learned Monday she tested positive for COVID-19. This was last Monday, I'm assuming. She started taking the malaria drug on March 31st, prescribed by her doctor after both she and her husband sought treatment for a range of symptoms on March 18th. It was less than 2 hours before she started to feel relief, she says. Keep in mind, this is a Democrat black woman from Detroit and an elected state representative. Is it? So, yeah, I know. It was less than 2 hours before she started to feel relief, she said. She experienced shortness of breath, swollen lymph nodes, and what felt like a sinus infection. She's still experiencing headaches, she says, at the time of this interview. And this story is dated yesterday. She said she was familiar with the wonders of hydroxychloroquine from an earlier bout with Lyme disease, but does not believe she would have thought to ask for it, or even that her doctor would have prescribed it had Trump not been touting it as a possible treatment for COVID-19. Trump, at his daily coronavirus briefings, has repeatedly promoted the drug in combination with the antibiotic azithromycin, despite criticism from health professionals that it is unproven and potentially dangerous. There have also been complaints that Trump's remarks have resulted in a shortage of the drugs for those who would normally use it. We've heard a little bit about that. But she says Trump's comments helped her case. It has a lot to do with the president. Bringing it up, she says. He is the only person who has the power to make it a priority. Asked whether she thinks Trump may have saved her life, she says, yes, I do, and I do thank him for that. Hydroxychloroquine is used to prevent and treat malaria, also used to treat lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, among other ailments. She says she's been taking it with a combination of antibiotics. And Trump did tweet this story, by the way. And that's a huge story. Black Democrat elected state rep from Detroit. It doesn't get more left-wing than that. Why is she not being interviewed on all the national media? What is it? I mean, listen, I don't know if it works or not. All I know are these stories that I understand are not scientific studies, that are anecdotal. I understand that, of people like her, Black Democrat woman from Detroit, saying, this is my experience and this is what happened. Why she asked for it and the doctor prescribed it. By the way, that's not unusual. In the age of medical advertisements, people often go to a doctor and ask for specific medications. Have you ever done that? Any of you out there? And that's a huge story. And the president tweeted it, and people like me that are conservative will talk about it. But there's such a movement. There's such a movement to be anti-Trump that everything he says they you know what I'm talking about? That kind of thing. Hands over here. They don't want to hear anything Trump says. I will tell you this. We don't know if the malaria drug works. There have not been scientific studies released. We don't know. It's anecdotal, but a lot of people like Dr. Oz have talked in favor of it. But I haven't heard any negative stories about it. I've only heard positives. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I've heard people who think that it's worked with them. I've heard doctors who think that it's worked with their patients. So what I'm telling you is I don't know. But I haven't heard anything negative about it. So, what President Trump said a couple weeks ago, I think this is true. Again, I'm not a doctor. I would need a doctor to let me know if this is the way these things work. But since we're already dealing with FDA-approved medications, we know that it's not going to kill people. That it'll either work or it will not work. Right? So, speaking of rheumatoid arthritis, I've had arthritis in my right knee for years, and it just started acting up just like 15 minutes ago. I haven't had pain in my knee for ages, and now I'm in tons of pain. Tons of pain. I'm going to have to call Dr. Troy Lemansky, our chiropractor, and go get an adjustment on my knee or something, because the pain in my knee right now is, if the doctor were to ask on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say probably a 7 or an 8. My right knee, I've had arthritis in my right knee since I was 20 years old. I don't know why. And it's really, is it raining outside? I don't know why it's acting up now, but it is acting up. And I can't do what I would normally do if I were at home. I can't prop my leg up. If I prop my leg up, sometimes it helps, but I can't prop my leg up while I'm broadcasting. I've got nothing to prop it up on while I'm broadcasting. Plus, it would look very strange on YouTube. But I think I might have to call Dr. Troy Lemansky and get my knee looked at. He's very good. And I am in a hell of a lot of pain right now. I gotta tell you, I am in a lot of pain. It just about 15 minutes ago is when I was talking to Mike in Louisiana. It started up, and it is, went from 0 to this 7 or 8, and instantly, I just didn't say anything about it until just now. I was kind of hoping it'd go away, and it's getting worse as the show goes on. But yeah, the press very hostile to this. Good morning. You're on the radio. Hello. Speak up.
This is Sandra.
Hey, Sandra. How you doing?
All right.
You're on the air, Sandra. I caught you off guard. I know, but you're on the air.
Sorry. I didn't know. I thought I was going to.
Yeah. All right. Turn on the personality, Sandra. You're on the air. It's time to perform.
Okay. This is it. They want the numbers of deaths to reach over the amount Obama had when he had that.
Oh, the swine flu? Yeah.
He had more than Obama.
Yeah.
And there's it's changing people's lives because this is 3 to 4 weeks ago he mentioned the medication, and quickly the doctor came out and said, what is the word, anecdotal.
Yeah.
If it doesn't kill you, why not try it? Why not try it like that man in Hollywood at the Memorial Hospital? He tried it, and it was better within 24 hours.
Yeah, now again, we don't have scientific studies that show us that it works or doesn't work. But we're hearing like this black Democrat, female state rep from Detroit, Michigan. She thinks it worked with her. She requested it. Her doctor prescribed it. We've got a lot of anecdotal evidence of it working. I haven't heard anything negative about it. And this woman, if this Democrat black state rep from Detroit, Michigan, was attacking Trump about the drug, she'd be on every cable network there is. But because she's saying something positive about Trump, media blackout.
Oh, by the way, I called you about the fish tank lady. They say she has an history and that she actually killed her husband.
Wait, you got an update on the fish tank lady? Where'd you get the update? Where'd you get the update at?
And often her husband.
Well, I don't know. Okay, well, I don't know. I'll look that up. I'll see if I can find an update on. You know, it's a. By the way, Sandra, appreciate the call. I'm just letting Sandra go because it's hard to understand her and bad connection. But the fish tank lady, I was just thinking this morning before the show, and I was reading articles and things. I haven't heard about the fish tank lady in a while. And when that incident first happened, remember her husband died from drinking the fish tank cleaner. And she was hospitalized. She drank some, and everybody immediately in the press was jumping on that story. And I said, how do we know that she wasn't trying to kill her husband? You know, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she was. I don't know. But I find it suspicious that he died, she didn't, and they both consumed it. So if anybody has any updates on that story, let me know. I would like to hear, because I'm sure there was an investigation by the local authorities into that case. All right, listen, we'll take the first break of the second hour. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number toll free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Hurricane season is right around the corner, and the predictions are that the 2020 hurricane season will be busier than normal, with 16 named storms predicted, 8 turning into hurricanes, and 4 growing into major hurricanes. That's according to scientists at Colorado State University. That's 3 more named storms and hurricanes, and 2 more major hurricanes than they predicted at this time last year. Do you have the hurricane coverage you need and the coverage you want for your home, condominium, or commercial property in case a hurricane hits? Call Debbie at I Will Advisors, 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. Debbie will review your policy at no charge and make sure you have the coverage you want and the coverage you need. Once a hurricane hits, it's too late. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors right now. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
Right now, the U.S. is in the midst of a deadly opioid epidemic. In South Florida alone, someone suffers an overdose every 2 hours, either from heroin, fentanyl, or some other prescription medication that's as close as the family medicine cabinet. In fact, Mom and Dad's medicine cabinet is frequently the gateway to the horrors of hardcore addiction down the road. Drug problems left unattended are only going to get worse. This is not something you can do on your own. You need expert professional help, and if your family is disintegrating in front of your eyes and you feel helpless, I'm here to tell you that help is available. Call my good friend Sal at the Edge Recovery, 561 area code 523-4325. This is his personal cell phone, 561-523-4325. If your loved one refuses treatment, the Edge Recovery will conduct an intervention and get them into the treatment plan that they need. The Edge Recovery offers every option, from intervention to 30-day rehab to
Steve
sober
Kane Show.
living to counseling with a licensed therapist, as well as group therapy treatment. It's covered by most insurance, but no matter what your situation is, the Edge Recovery has options for you. Call Sal at the Edge Recovery. Do it today. 561 area code 523-4325. Again, that's Sal's personal cell phone, 561-523-4325.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
Alrighty, welcome back. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the radio. Good morning.
My name is Stella, and I have taken the medicine, hydroxychloroquine, twice a day for 6.
Okay.
And I also take the 1st of March, I also took a dose of that.
Well, you know, what I was looking for, because I read an article that talked about China. This was about a week ago. And they said that they started looking into the malaria drug when there wasn't a person in China with lupus who had tested positive for coronavirus. So I don't know. You have lupus, so you probably follow lupus news. Have you heard any stories about people with lupus testing positive or negative for coronavirus? I don't know. Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Are you having any difficulty getting your prescription refilled?
Pharmacist, he said I was on automatic. They don't have any of it right now. It's hard to get, but I'm on automatic refill, he said, so.
If they... Also, there's a shortage of it because the government's hoarding it.
Yes.
What would happen to you? Well, what would happen to you if you stopped taking the drug?
I don't know what would happen to me. I just know that I've taken it for several years for lupus.
Yeah.
This will prevent me from getting the...
Well, you know, listen, it's hard to do a scientific study so quick, and you know, we always got to be careful when there's a crisis, you know. But I would like to see some information in America about people with lupus, like you, that have been taking this drug for a long period of time. How many people with lupus that have been taking this drug for a long period of time have tested positive for coronavirus? I'd like to know. I think that would be helpful. And then forward it to Dr. Fauci.
You can call the Lupus Foundation and ask if they'll do a study or something.
We don't have time for studies. You know what I mean? We don't have time for studies.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure this virus is going to stay around. It's here. It's not just going to leave the scene, is it? I mean, won't it be around for a while?
We're hoping not. I'm hoping not.
Anyway,
Okay. All right. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Yeah, lady with lupus. Oh my goodness. I know. It's a crazy world we're in. Oh, by the way, you know, here in Florida, our governor said houses of worship would remain open. Is there anyone in our audience who went to religious services over the weekend? Notice I don't say church because not everyone's a Christian. Is there any, if you went to church or any religious services over the weekend, I would very much like to hear what it was like. If you went, were people doing social distancing? Was your church or temple, was it open? Was it closed? I haven't heard any reports on that. So if anybody has any reports, I probably would not be going to church right now. And I don't know if I'll ever take Holy Communion again. That's something I've had problems with because of in general, and now with this, I don't know. But if you've been to church over this last weekend, I'd love to hear from you. Were there people there? Was the church open? Was there social distancing? What was it like? How far? But I'd like to hear. So 888-GO-CANE1, that is our number. 888-465-2631. There's also been some developments in this story we were talking about in the last hour of yesterday's show about the fired captain of the Roosevelt. And I did notice in the press conference yesterday, President Trump kind of defended the captain a little. I don't know, kind of. He did. Did he not defend the captain yesterday? And President Trump said he doesn't want to see... Over the weekend, he really went after the guy. And then yesterday, Trump said he doesn't want to see because he had a bad day. Was he talking about the Navy secretary or the captain when he said he doesn't want to see someone's career over because they had a bad day? I thought he was talking about the captain. But he says he may intervene. What happened is the Secretary of the Navy, who's the acting Navy secretary, did something so bizarre. The acting Navy secretary went to the ship. He went to the Theodore Roosevelt, flew to wherever the hell it is, far, far away, the other side of the planet, and addressed over the intercom the entire crew and trashed the captain on the intercom. And pretty bad. He said he was stupid or naive. I mean, it was very strange. So I know a lot of people are now saying, well, Trump's on the side of the captain of the Roosevelt. I don't know about that. But the Navy secretary did something that was so stupid and inappropriate by going to the ship and addressing the men about the captain using the language he did. The Navy secretary has apologized. He's walked it back, but he did it. The Navy secretary really screwed up and looked like a fool. And quite frankly, he should be replaced immediately. He really should. I was really shocked that he went to the ship and addressed the men and really attacked the captain like that. I don't think that was necessary at all. I will tell you, though, Steve and I were talking about this yesterday. Steve has this strange position. What that captain did was appalling. Okay, even if the Navy was wrong, what he did was appalling. You cannot go around the chain of command and leak information like that to the media, like he did. You just cannot do it. And what he did was release what I would consider to be a class. Trump said yesterday, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but in one of the last two press conferences, Trump said it was classified information that he leaked out, and that's about the readiness of a nuclear aircraft carrier and its fleet group and air wing and everything attached to it in the Pacific Ocean. And what he did was very inappropriate and wrong, and he should have been relieved of command. And I'll say that I imagine once a commanding officer is relieved of their command, that's it. Their career is over. Yeah, he did what Comey did, leaked. And I know a lot of people may say, oh, well, his crew was cheering him. What the captain did was so inappropriate. But what'll probably happen now, because what the Navy secretary did was insanely inappropriate and bizarre and strange and such poor judgment, that things have changed a little bit now since he was the guy who made the call on removing the captain and firing him. So Trump's going to come in and do something. What that is, I don't know. I guess maybe they'll not pursue charges against the captain now and just retire him out. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. But with the behavior of the men on that ship is also troubling to me. One of the sailors is reported to have been using the F word, shouting it at the Navy secretary. And the way that the crew reacted when the captain left, it seems to me that the captain was not a very good example to the sailors on that ship by their behavior when he left and their behavior with the Navy secretary yesterday. So I think there's all kinds of problems with this captain. But you know what? There's bigger fish to fry right now, and we really don't need the Navy, the military, and the president, the commander-in-chief, getting involved in some petty thing that is going to be turned into another political issue. It just needs to be settled and move on. It's a distraction from the bigger picture when we need a unified country. So if the president intervenes and just lets the guy retire out and they don't pursue charges, I'm fine with that. But it doesn't change the fact that the captain was right and the Navy was right to remove him. But the Navy secretary going to the ship speaking that way about the captain to the men, strange. Just strange. I would really question his judgment. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. I have two comments, Brian. The captain of the ship was wrong for letting out the fact that the ship was...
Do you have something to say that I have not said in on the air? Because you're just repeating what I said a moment ago. Do you have any of your own thoughts about anything? That you're just repeating what I said. Oh, thank you.
Dismantling of the White House pandemic department. Dismantling in 2000 and...
That's not true. None of that's true. That's not true. What you said, yeah, hello, yeah. That what you said is, he didn't. That's not true. That's not, what you said is not true. What you said is not true. No, it's not true.
Dismantle it.
No. There was, no. They had a task, well, you've got, instead of waiting to repeat the talking point article that you have, you got to listen and not wait to talk. Okay? There was a special, see, you're talking again. You're waiting to talk. You're not listening. There's a big difference between waiting to talk and listening. There was an H1N1 task force, right? They dealt with that problem, thankfully so, and they closed down the task force in charge of the swine flu. That's it. The swine flu was over.
Council division of the White House that handled the pandemic.
That pandemic, swine flu, and then it was over. And then when it was over, then it was when the swine flu was over, right? The swine flu was over, so they ended the group in charge of the swine flu. For example, you're familiar with the impeachment hearings that we had. It was over. So when the impeachment hearing is over, the committee's no longer meeting on that. They move on to something else.
Way before 2018.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, maybe they should have been. Then maybe that organization should have been dismantled sooner, perhaps. But he didn't cut the budget or dismantle anything. Okay. Wait, everything you've said is not true, Jeff. Oh my goodness. Good morning. You're on the radio.
It's Mike and Boca.
Hey, Mike and Boca. You're on the air.
About the captain.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I believe this is what's going to happen. The guy who fired him, he's an idiot. The captain did a very, very bad thing. Trump has a big heart. Also, Trump needs to make this go away. Because CNN and MSNBC are just going to say it's going to reflect bad on the Navy Secretary because he's going to...
Well, what the Navy Secretary did yesterday was I was shocked when I read the story. The Navy Secretary flew to the ship, addressed the men on the intercom, or I should say the sailors, because they have ladies on board. You know, it's the 21st century. He addressed the sailors over the intercom, and he called the captain stupid. Said the captain was too stupid and naive to be a captain of a ship. It was such a strange thing that the Navy Secretary did that the president has to intervene to end this.
On the movie Patton.
Or Patton. You know, the thing about what happened yesterday I found interesting because the media and the left were so upset that the president intervened in Navy discipline when it came to the Navy SEAL, and now they're begging him to intervene in a Navy decision now. So, what's that? You know?
I think he's going to fire the guy because it makes him look it makes him look bad. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't know he did that until you said that.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy what he did.
A couple of notables on Fox last week, King.
Yeah.
He was going to bat for the Navy guy, for the captain. So I believe that he's not going to get in trouble. He's not going to get anything taken away from him. He's probably just going to let him retire. And that's it. And the guy...
Yeah, what the captain did was wrong. I believe he leaked classified information to the press about the readiness of an aircraft carrier and its fleet group and its air wing. Yeah. So I would definitely agree he's a Democrat. He was on his way out, and then the Navy Secretary did something that was equally as stupid and inappropriate as the captain. So, they're going to cancel each other out. So I would imagine what the president's going to do is get rid of the Navy Secretary, which will be very easy because he's the acting Navy Secretary. He'll be out, and the captain will be able to... I wouldn't be surprised if he's out already. We'll find out in a tweet. I wouldn't be surprised. He's acting Navy Secretary. It's a nothing thing for him to fire him. He's done. And the captain will probably be able to retire without facing charges. It is what I imagine will happen. And get an honorable discharge.
And Trump, I know, like, over the years, when he wasn't president, he gave a lot of people that made a mistake second chances.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember about 10 years ago when he was doing the pageant. The one young girl.
I don't remember.
She was...
oh, you mean Miss Piggy? The one that was... Oh, yes, the one that had was drugs or alcohol. He gave her a second chance, yeah.
He talked about making mistakes. Just like the people he let out of jail.
Yeah.
He made a mistake. They were there for 20 years. And he...
No, the captain was done in Trump's eyes until the Navy Secretary went to the ship and did what he did. And then Trump's going to have to do something because the Navy Secretary acted in such an inappropriate way.
I was on that ship, because I know people who've been in the service. I would probably, knowing me, I would probably be upset that I'm hearing this over the intercom.
Yeah, and the sad thing is there's been so much damage to the crew between the captain and the Navy Secretary that they probably need to take everyone off the ship and transfer everybody and recrew that vessel because this crew is damaged.
They've had their problems for several years about different things happening, and they're trying to be positive in the situation. And for him to do this, I can't. I'm shocked that he did it.
Oh yeah.
Ship and he called all these people this.
On the intercom, he addressed the entire crew on the intercom and said the captain was stupid and naive. And come on.
Their wives and their families, and they're thinking about this virus and how they're going to stop it. And this guy goes and does this.
Yeah, I mean, what happened yesterday, the crew's reaction, they were outraged during this. It was the closest I think we've ever come to a mutiny on a U.S.-flagged vessel. I mean, they were pretty upset.
I was thinking about the movie Cops, where they wanted to close up the school, and they turned against them.
Yeah. All right, Mike and Boca, I got to run for a break, but thanks for the call. It's 35 minutes after 7. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This is Brian Craig. I've been telling you about the great deals and incredible customer service at Friendly Tire on both new tires and used tires. One of our listeners, Antonio, went to Friendly Tire and called to share with us his experience of buying used tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Good morning. You're on the radio.
Hey, yes, Brian. I want to give you a quick testimony about the tire place up in Margate, Friendly Tire. Friendly Tire is everything you said it would be, man. I went up there and got me some used tires. And when I went up there, man, he was very courteous. My whole family's going for that one, man. Everything you said it was going to be, man. I appreciate you for that, man. And Mike's a great guy, man.
Well, what's your name?
Antonio.
All right, Antonio. Hey, I'm glad we could save you and your family lots of money on tires at Friendly Tire.
Oh, no doubt, man. Thanks so much, man.
Do what Antonio did. Stop into Friendly Tire and find incredible deals on both new and used tires. Give Friendly
Steve Kane
Mike
Show.
a call right now. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. And Mike will give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate.
Hi, this is George Corey of the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954-597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Avoid probate with a revocable living trust. $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with Attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. The Siegel Law Group, with 9 offices in South Florida, including Boca Raton, Plantation, and Coral Springs. Call 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to The Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977. Yeah, you know, the Soul Authority are doing house calls for all of your podiatry needs. House calls. No matter where you are within the listening range of our radio stations, the doctor, she will come to you. Now, their offices are also open for in-office appointments as well. Both locations of the Soul Authority, the Pembroke Pines office and the Tamarack office. I'm going to give you the number for the Tamarack office. They can help you with both. But the house calls, the doctor, she will come to you, and both of their offices are open for all of your podiatry needs, including the diabetic shoes. 954-721-3411. By the way, the house calls covered by Medicare. Medicare pays for the doctor's visit, okay? 954-721-3411. All right, good morning. Doug, you're on the radio.
Good morning, good morning. You know, you mentioned that congressperson, she was that Trump saved her life. Did you mention that genius who said that they want to bring up Trump on international charges for crimes against?
Yeah, I saw that. I forgot who said it, though. One of the Democrats said they want to bring him up in front of the Hague.
So make them around as Democrat congressperson.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because he's saying that you should give this malaria drug to everybody.
Yeah.
What a bunch of idiots. You know, if it wasn't so stupid, I think it was done on purpose to be comedy.
Yeah. You know, I watch that coronavirus press conference with Trump every day, and pretty much stop what I'm doing to watch it, because that's when you get informed as to what the government is doing. And I think President Trump has done incredible work. I mean, look at what he's done in New York. 4 hospitals, the hospital ship. So does the 4 hospitals include the hospital ship, or is that the 5th one? I don't know. It's either 4 or 5 hospitals. The Javits Center Hospital, which Trump says is one of the largest hospital facilities in America, he did. It's wonderful what he's doing. He's doing great work.
They can. And, you know, then you hear these people who are on his side even saying that, well, every time he says, use that drug, then they turn around and say, well, it's not proven yet. And I don't understand why they just can't shut.
Well, this is, like I said, we do not know if the malaria drug works or not. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. There haven't been scientific studies. But what I do know is that I've seen many patients and doctors come forward to the media, including this Democrat state rep from Detroit, who say that it's worked for them. And I have not heard any negative stories yet. So, you know, the media seem very hostile to this working. It's like they don't want it to work.
Yeah, exactly. You know, how about saying the information that everybody who's died, how many people have taken this drug and not taken it? This way we'll know. There's a test. We got 1,000 people who have died. All right, how many of them?
Well, yeah, and there must be data available at this point. There's no way they haven't looked into this. How many people with lupus that have been taking this drug for a prolonged period of time have tested positive for coronavirus? I would like to know. That would be useful information.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing you don't ever hear about, it turns out my sister-in-law was positive. She was sick for about a week and a half. She finally got tested positive, but now she's feeling almost 100%.
Well, that's true for most people. That's true for most people, they tell us. But look at Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Oh, my goodness. He's in intensive care. And I'm praying for Boris Johnson. I like Boris Johnson, okay? He's kind of like he's the Trump of the UK. I love Boris Johnson. I remember first time I heard of Boris Johnson, he was the mayor of London. And I liked everything I've heard. And I was very happy when he became Prime Minister. And just from my personal of Boris Johnson, and as a human, I'm praying for him and I wish him well. But if Boris Johnson does not pull through, oh my God, that is going to be such a setback in this fight. In the UK, which is already facing tremendous lockdown orders, if Boris Johnson doesn't improve, things in the UK are going to be locked down for a long, long time.
President Trump saying he's sending his people over
Steve
there
Kane
to
show.
help them because they have, besides this malaria drug, they have some other experiments.
Well, what we need to know about Boris Johnson is if he improves, and I think he will. I think he'll improve. I want to know how they treated him, what they treated him with, and if he doesn't improve, I want to know what they treated him with and what they did not treat him with. I really want to know.
Everybody needs to know this stuff. That for some reason, they don't even ask the questions in the press conferences, the meeting that talks about.
But but Boris Johnson doesn't look like a very healthy guy anyway. He always, to me, you know who he kind of reminds me of? He reminds me of Mayor Ford of Toronto. He looks like he's 3 steps away from a heart attack all the time anyway. You know what I mean? He doesn't look healthy.
And certainly I agree with you what you said about Pence. Pence looks like he needs to take a nap.
Pence did not look well yesterday. He did not look well, and he looks like he's lost weight. If you see his cheeks look sunken in yesterday in the press conference, Pence.
He's tired. He needs some sleep. Hopefully he'll get some sleep.
Yeah.
Be back to normal.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Take care. All right. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Bob from West Bow.
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Hey, the reason I called, first of all, on that anti-malarial drug, it does work, and I'll tell you how you know it works. Because the press is very hostile to it. They don't want it to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how much it is working.
Because Trump will get credit for being the first to talk about it.
Tell you another thing, this thing with the United Nations and WHO, I'm going to tell you something. First of all, WHO, the World Health Organization, they sat on this thing, this Chinese flu, since October. They knew this thing.
I don't listen. The World Health Organization, to me, it's the United Nations. It's run by the head of the World Health Organization is run by an Ethiopian. And what's the average life expectancy for a man in Ethiopia? I bet it's about probably. I wouldn't, without exaggerating, it's probably in the mid-50s. And we're a first world country. I don't need someone who was the health minister of a third world country that I just basically remember from the We Are the World famine era, right, of the 80s, telling America, who has the #1 health system in the world, what we should be doing. No way.
Not only that, do you realize also that the World Health Organization put the Chinese on the Commission for Human Rights? Figure that one out.
Yeah, and when I was growing up, whoever the Surgeon General was at the time, because we always have new ones, their word was basically law. When a Surgeon General, like that warning on all the tobacco, right, on the cigarette. Now this Surgeon General is on board with Trump on everything, and all of a sudden the Surgeon General, the media just don't think is a credible office holder. That's right.
Looking for is a gotcha moment. They're looking to just tear this president down, and even if he cured this thing tomorrow with some wonder drug, they would find out, just like that jackass asked that question Sunday to Mike Pence. Well, what about all your friends that died? Now,
yeah.
You give anything positive?
Yeah, no, nothing. Because people were already calling them Trump pills, and they don't want that. They don't want Trump to get the credit for getting people out of a pandemic. Again, we don't know if it works or not. I'm just telling you, I keep hearing positive stories. I've not heard one negative story about it.
Fredo Jr., the governor of New York, all of a sudden he's getting 29 million doses of it. That should tell you something.
And you know what I wonder, too, the very good news is the rate of death and infection is flattening in New York State. This medication, what I do know here in Florida, because I checked into this, that it is being prescribed in Miami, in the hospitals in Miami. The major hospitals of Miami, I've been told, are prescribing this drug cocktail with the malaria drug and the Z-Pack and the zinc. And the death rate, yeah.
But I guarantee you that it's probably...
Well, Miami has the most infection. Let me look at the current numbers. That Miami has the most infections out of any other county in the state of Florida. Okay, I mean that we know that. So let me see how many people they have had deaths. Let me see how many people have died so far in Dade County. I'm pulling it up right now. Oh, my internet's slow. It is. Yeah, that's well because nobody goes there. Let me see here. It says here. Okay, they've had 41 deaths in Dade County and Miami, where they have the most cases in the state. And, those 41 deaths is 41 deaths and it's tragic, but I think the death rate is so low in that county because in the hospital setting, they've been prescribing for weeks this drug. For weeks, I've been told.
Exactly. So I think that we're moving along forward, and hopefully by the end of this month, maybe we'll be looking good. Hey, look, the stock market's looking good. I mean, this morning in the futures, they were up.
The stock market is, the whole stock market is a futures market. It's about future projections of things. And that's something not to take lightly. But it's time to get the country back to work. It just is. It is. All right, Bob, take care. Got to run. That's right. That's right. I'm working every day. I haven't missed a day. You don't think I want a day off? I'm pretty tired. Doing 2 shows a day. I would love to have been off today. I can't take off right now. I'm working. All right, listen, we'll take our last break of the second hour. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Indeed it is. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
We want to proudly welcome a new sponsor to the Steve Kane Show, and it's Ace Hardware. Not just any Ace Hardware, but 2 special Ace Hardware stores in our area. The first is Ace Hardware, located at 365 South Federal Highway in Deerfield Beach, just a quarter-mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal Highway. And Beach Ace Hardware at 232 Commercial Boulevard, Lauderdale by the Sea, half a block west of A1A. If you own a house or condo, you would do yourself a favor to visit one or both of these special stores. There is such a difference shopping in these stores compared to the depot-type stores. Service and product selection is what it's all about. And they have a great selection in all their departments that will save you from running around from store to store. And you can get help from their employees who have the knowledge to always put you on the right track to get any project done, large or small. They have happy customers because of the way they treat their customers, and you will become a happy customer too. The list of what they sell is almost endless, but includes plumbing, electrical, sprinkler parts, fasteners of every kind, garden tools, including the largest selection of steel garden equipment. Plus, they are an authorized steel repair center. Let's not forget Benjamin Moore custom blended paints, major brand power tools, including Craftsman, Weber barbecue grills, plus other top-notch brands that are delivered to your home with free assembly. They have the largest selection of key blanks, many down to the color you choose. Even the key fob remote for your doors are sold at these stores, priced lower than the car dealer. Screens are custom made. Glass is cut to size. I could go on, but you get the idea. They will make your life easier and save you time and money by recommending the right products for your job. Again, the 2 Ace Hardware locations are Ace Hardware at 365 South Federal Highway, Deerfield Beach, just a quarter-mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal Highway, and Beach Ace Hardware at 232 Commercial Boulevard, Lauderdale by the Sea, half a block west of A1A. Or call with any questions, 954-531-6265, 954-531-6265, and make sure to tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Did you know that 2 out of 5 Americans suffer from some kind of allergy? So it's likely that fatigue, runny nose, headaches, intestinal problems, and a general lousy feeling can be connected to an allergy. Any lab test now of Boca Raton offer allergy tests that can detect over 125 airborne, food, and environmental allergens. Allergy testing is quick, easy, and painless. Results can be shared with your physician or an allergist. No doctor's order or prescription is necessary. No appointment either. Just walk right in. Any lab test now of Boca Raton is located located at 23016 Sandalfoot Plaza on the east side of 441, just a few doors down from Western Beef. If you have any questions, call 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Any lab tests now of Boca Raton. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on The Steve Kane Show.
Listen to The Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for...
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show. And again, all of the Steve Kane Show sponsors are open for business. Okay, they are open for business, including Wings Plus over at Ramblewood. They're doing the renovations on Sample Row, but the Wings Plus Ramblewood is open for takeout. And I know a lot of you have been going over there. Thank you for your continued support of all of the Steve Kane Show sponsors. When you support our sponsors, of course, you're supporting this program. And that's great. And you're also supporting the businesses that support this program and the employees that are there. And all of the Steve Kane Show sponsors are open for business. And appreciate that. And I was talking yesterday about this great experience I had Saturday at Ace Hardware, the Deerfield location. Man, you want to talk about customer. I have not seen customer service, the quality that they have at Ace Hardware in Deerfield since I was a little kid. I got to tell you, it is like going to an old-time store where they really care. And man, did they give me the right stuff. And yes, I did buy paint for my house, but they turned me on to this great cleaner for my house that I was talking about yesterday. Just gave me everything I needed for what I was doing. I left, I had everything I needed, and something that I have not had happen to me in years when I went to a hardware store. I didn't have to go back to get something else. How many times have you gone to one of these big hardware stores and even when you've gotten help, you get home, you're working on whatever project you're working on, and you have to go back and get something else, right? You don't have the right tool, you don't have the right material, you don't have the right something, and then you come back, you go get it, you come back, you start again, and 20 minutes later, you got to go. Not at Ace Hardware in Deerfield. I had everything I needed. I didn't have to go back. It was such a relief, and it's amazing. So, yeah, thank you for supporting all of our sponsors. Steve and I both very much appreciate that. You know, Boris Johnson, when I heard that story about Boris Johnson yesterday, it really hit me hard. I am a huge fan of Boris Johnson. He liberated England. He took the UK out of the EU finally. He's the Trump of the UK. He's very much like Trump. They pretty much have the same hair too. And he's a great guy, and he is very sick. He is in intensive care, and everyone needs to pray for him because not just out of the humanity that he's a fellow person, the human that we don't, he's a good guy, but if he does not pull through, it is going to be devastating to the UK and throughout Europe, really. And things in the UK will be on lockdown like we probably have seen nowhere else if he doesn't pull through, and prayers got to go with Boris Johnson. Now, I was talking earlier, I mentioned this, the Navy secretary that fired the captain of the Roosevelt just did something that was insane. The Navy secretary flew to Guam to the Roosevelt and addressed all of the crew over the intercom, and it did not go well. This is in the Daily Mail. It says here, President Donald Trump said Monday he may step in and settle a controversy between acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly firing the captain of a coronavirus-infected aircraft carrier and then giving a controversial defense of his actions. The acting Navy Secretary told sailors on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt that their fired captain was naive and stupid for the 5-page letter that he wrote complaining about the lack of help from the Navy, and then complained about the flack he was receiving for relieving the captain. He says, I must tell you some very good things about both gentlemen, President Trump said on Monday, and it goes on and on, so he's kind of playing both sides. So here's what happened. He said he's going to look into it, the president. He's going to settle this controversy. He says, I don't want to destroy somebody for having a bad day, President Trump said of the captain. He declined to say exactly what he may do. The acting Navy Secretary who fired the captain told sailors that their fired captain was naive and stupid. And then he relieved him of his command, and some of the reactions from the crew were pretty severe. People yelling out F-bombs at the Navy Secretary. The Navy Secretary just went and took an already chaotic situation. I mean, think about it. You got this aircraft carrier that has about 100 or so guys on board, or sailors on board. Not all sailors are men. I'm sounding like Don Draper. But you've got an aircraft carrier who has at least 100 sailors on board with coronavirus, which is already a bad situation. Their captain has been fired and relieved of duty. So there's a chaotic situation on board the aircraft carrier. The Navy Secretary goes to the carrier and caused more chaotic behavior on board. So he should be fired too. He should be fired this morning, the Navy Secretary. The captain, just let him retire. Let him retire. Even give him a desk job for all the hell I care. This issue needs to go away. We do not need a national distraction like this right now. We got to move on just simply because the Navy Secretary screwed up. The Navy Secretary was right to fire the guy, but what he did afterwards is just appalling. And he's as stupid as the captain, quite frankly. Maybe worse than the captain in some ways. I tell you, well, listen, we are they keep saying we're in a warlike situation, and some of these guys at the top are not up to the stress of dealing with the world we are in right now. Luckily, Trump is. I mean, can you imagine what would be going on throughout this country if we didn't have someone who was as organized and as competent of a chief executive as President Trump? He has given the states everything and more. And I know Cuomo wants to take credit for everything that's going on in New York. From what I can see, Cuomo has done nothing. Everything's been Trump. And it was so great to hear that things are finally getting better in New York. They've had 2 days infections, as well as the deaths flattened in New York. New York has to get back before the country can get back. For everything I was talking about earlier, about how that's where the media is, they're projecting New York on the country. Until New York starts to get better, the whole country cannot. Because the situation in New York is driving everything. That's why I say they should not be carrying Cuomo's press conferences live every day on television. His press conferences should not be carried live because it gives a false impression of what's going on elsewhere in the country. I was very happy we're not hearing too much about California in these coronavirus updates anymore. Have you noticed that? I haven't heard Florida mentioned in about a week because things are getting better in Florida. They're getting better in California. All the projections in California, they are so far below all of the projections in California. Now, it may be because of the behavior changes. Maybe it is. They've been under a very hardcore lockdown order. That's had to have helped. But we're going to get to the point where they got to start opening it up again. And as much as I look forward to that, it is going to get nasty when they reopen the country. When the president says open the doors, it's going to get nasty. Because the Democrats and the media, you see how hostile they are towards the malaria drug. Wait till you see their reaction to the country being open. And, it's so interesting to me, the White House press corps, who thinks the country should not be all sent back to work. Well, they're going to work every day, right? They're going to work under social distancing guidelines, the media. They rotate into the press briefing room when they're in there. They do their social distancing, but the entire press corps is still at the White House. They just social distance. That's all. But, the White House press corps doesn't think the rest of the country can do that because you're not as smart as they are, see? You're not with the media. And so when you listen to, everybody thinks they're the hero, right? The media think they're the heroes saving the country. The politicians think they're the heroes. The first responders and doctors like Burke, they're the hero. Everybody thinks they are the most important group of people that are saving the country. But the media are so arrogant, they don't think the rest of the country is as smart as they are and can't adhere to social distancing and other health guidelines to get the country back to work. I would love to hear President Trump say, well, wait a minute, you guys are back to work under new conditions. Why can't the rest of the country do what you're doing? Because the media think they're smarter than everyone. They think the country is filled with uneducated, stupid people. That's why. All right, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's actually 8:01, third hour beginning. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show. Don't go anywhere.
3FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida
really?
Money Talk Network.
I'll check it out.
You've heard Steve Kane talk about the great work and the incredible prices at Dr. Gupta's Brighton Dental. Richie, the bus driver, called Steve Kane on the air and told him about his
Okay, now
experience.
I'm gonna call you at 9 to do the. Do you know what you wanted to do for the commercials after the show?
I broke my tooth. I fractured it and it went backwards in my mouth. Oh my.
Yes. Yes, I got them right here behind me. Okay, so we're still gonna do those. Okay, you got it. Hold. You know, Steve's not in today, so I was gonna have to do it with you. So, but I got the questions here. Great, hold on. Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane Show. Hold. Hello? I can't. Hello, speak up.
Okay, the man sat and worked on my tooth for 2 hours, put a pin in it, put it back in place. I could eat anything I want. He said it was temporary. He did such a great job. It feels like permanent. I have no pain. I can eat anything I want now.
Okay, where am I?
This is what really was unbelievable. I was getting on the bus to go to the reception, okay, in New York City. He knew I was in New York. The phone rings. Who do you think's on the line?
Dr. Gupta.
Right. He wants to see if everything is going okay and if I'm in any pain. The guy is unbelievably wonderful. I mean, thank you so much. I wouldn't have been able to eat. I wouldn't have been able to go. I would have looked like a pumpkin.
Everybody needs a great dentist, and of course, for you Steve Kane listeners, you have one, Dr. Gupta, and he's been over there at Brighton Dental. He takes really good care of you. He's very conscientious. He's, dentistry is an art when you stop and you think about it. And Dr. Gupta certainly is an artist, and we're so pleased to have him with us.
Yeah, I just wanted them to know if you need a dentist, and the guy is so good at what he does, he's so gentle, and I mean, I don't like dentists. This guy is this top shelf, and I'm going down to him to get it permanently put in, but right now, I don't have any pain. I can eat anything I want. Incredible.
Take Richie the bus driver's advice and go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. Call 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Avoid probate with a revocable living trust. $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. The Siegel Law Group, with 9 offices in South Florida, including Boca Raton, Plantation, and Coral Springs. Call 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1.
Yes. All righty, third and final hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Steve will be back tomorrow. I'll be here with you for the rest of the day solo. So we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. On the line, we have our estate planning attorney, Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing articles everywhere in the Herald and many other publications about how the demand for wills and trusts have gone way up in the midst of this crisis we're going through. And we're seeing that as well. We're receiving a lot of calls, people who at one point had doing their estate planning on their to-do list or should-do list. It's now become a must-do. And the important thing to make sure you do is when you get around to doing it, if this is going to be the impetus that you're doing it, make sure you do it right. One of the things that's happened during this crisis is a lot of law firms that do a lot of different areas of law that may not be essential during this time period are trying to do whatever they can do to stay in business, and so they may try to say, okay, now they do wills, now they do this. Just be careful. This is so important, and certain nuances can be that when you get it done, whether it's with us or someone else, make sure you get it done by someone who knows what they're doing and has been doing this for a long time. Another important thing I want to let everyone know, Brian, is we are doing safe consultations, meaning that we are still here. We're doing phone and even video conference calls to do our consultations. And also, because we had to cancel our seminar for April, going forward for the time being, we have the seminar available. All you have to do is call our office to register. They will send you the link to our workshop that's going to have the same information you would have gotten had you attended one of our seminars.
Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, as Barry's been telling you, he and his firm are available for both phone and online consultations to keep in line with all the social distancing guidelines. And pretty much the entire process, almost the entire thing, can be done on phone and online, right, Barry?
Able to complete the whole process and set things up. Time,
That's right. So give the Siegel Law Group a call, 1-855-FLA-ESTATE. That's 855-FLA-3782. All right, Barry, we'll talk later in the week. All right, take care. Take care. Yeah, some good information there. In fact, I had someone call me up for Barry's number. A friend of mine called me up for Attorney Barry Siegel's number yesterday, and they've never talked to me about estate planning, and they wanted to update things because of what's going on in the world. So give Barry a call. And with all of our sponsors listed at stevekaneshow.com if you missed the number, 1-855-FLA-ESTATE. All right, welcome back. We are well into the third and final hour of the program. I know these are tough times. You know, I understand. It's you know, and the news can be depressing. And there have been, since this has been going on, there's been a day or two I hadn't wanted to come in here and do the show. I'd rather stay home in bed and not get up and come here. But, you know, I feel an obligation to come and talk to you nice people about this. And I think I'm I'm a positive person in most things. It doesn't always seem that way in my personal life, but I'm a pretty positive person. And, you know, one thing about the situation we're in, every indicator that I see shows us moving towards much better places. Most of the projections have been wrong. The cases of death and infection have been much lower than projected. Now, again, a lot of that has to do with the behavior changes we've all been taking. I mean, come on. Of course, that's had a role to play in it. But what I was talking about earlier in the show, and I think it's so true, I think there's so many behavior changes in our society that are taking place. You know, this 30-day period we are in, the month of April, I think the main purpose of that from Trump, there's more than one purpose. I mean, one purpose, to slow the spread, of course. But what this 30-day period is doing is a transition for businesses and for people to get back to normal. And, you know, here in South Florida, most things are up and running. I know movie theaters and bowling alleys and hair salons, and I'm due for a haircut. You know, I might have to get that Flowbee that you hook up to the vacuum cleaner, you know, to cut. You can't do, but for the most part, things are open. But everywhere I go, there's a situation here in South Florida that I haven't seen since the post 9/11 era of people being polite, adhering to the social distancing, and everything that's involved in that. And that behavior change that is going on is what the main purpose of this last 30 days is about, I think. And I think that's what President Trump is doing. He was ready to open up the country right after Easter, but they need more time to get people into these behavior changes. and then we'll get out of this season. I mean, we're now out of the flu season. And they said from the beginning that when it warms up, that viruses hate the heat. And it's getting into a period like that right now. I heard even Cuomo talk about the weather change in New York. I don't know what the weather's like in New York, but it's pretty damn hot here in Florida every day. Although we did get a little rain yesterday. So, we're out of the flu season. Flu season ends March 31st for a reason. That's when the weather starts to get warmer. And as the weather gets warmer and the behavior changes, this will be fading away and we'll be out of this season, and for the foreseeable future, you're going to see people with masks on, with gloves on. You're going to, and I still don't know why the toilet paper is not back everywhere. I really don't. My wife ordered some toilet paper from China on Amazon that we got the other day. And I might bring it in to show. It's a pack of toilet paper. It was the smallest rolls of toilet paper I have ever seen in my life. The rolls of toilet paper are about the size of an Ace bandage roll, each roll. It's like it's like baby toilet paper. But we're keeping it because toilet paper's in such short supply, ain't throwing away anything that could be used as toilet paper these days. But when this crisis is over, I wonder when we look back, is the toilet paper shortage going to be the thing that we remember about this? I think it will be. But the scariest thing to me about the coronavirus is how fast people have just surrendered their civil liberties like that on a dime. The right to assemble, in some cases the right to even practice your religion freely, our freedom of movement. It's frightening to me. I don't like the idea that there are roadblocks stopping cars coming into Florida from Louisiana and Georgia, looking for New Yorkers, looking for people from Louisiana. Are they? I don't know what happens at these stops. Are they going to test them for coronavirus with that quick test at these traffic stops? They stopping people based on license plates? It's crazy, I know. And people have given up right to assemble, freedom of movement, and have done such strange things so quick without any legislation, without much questioning of it. And it's amazing how fast people are willing to give up so many of the freedoms that we enjoy in this country on a dime. And when we move beyond, I would like to think, what's going to happen when this is all over is, of course, the Democrats are talking about doing something which I think is just appalling, and that is have investigations into Trump's response to coronavirus. I think Trump's response to this from day one has been spectacular. It could not have been better. And what I see him doing day after day is so impressive. I mean, look what he's done with getting everybody everything they've needed. And all the talk about ventilators, these press conferences, all they do is talk about ventilators. Have you heard a story of any American who needed a ventilator being denied one? I haven't heard such a story. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is Trump has gotten so many ventilators collected and distributed all over the place. But the other reason is that the projections were wrong, which is a good thing. And people just now, it started yesterday, and it'll start more today, and as each day goes on, people will talk more and more about them, that the projections were wrong. Don't use that as a weapon. It's a good thing the projections were wrong. We should be happy about that. Don't rub it in people's faces. They'll just get resistant to it. And I'm going to tell you, I want to defend Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci, a lot of people are attacking him because there's photographs of him with Nancy Pelosi and other people. He has been the infectious disease head for 32 years. I am sure there are photographs of him with every major politician you can imagine. And when you're running an organization like that, you have to be friendly with all the heads of every branch of the government, no matter who they are or their political affiliation. That's how you get your funding. And I'm not going to judge Dr. Fauci because he's in a photograph smiling with Nancy Pelosi and act as if that's some type of indictment, just like I wouldn't do it because President Trump had a photograph with Stormy Daniels. People take photographs with people all the time. I've taken photographs with lots of people. I don't know who they are. Because someone takes a photograph with someone is not should not be used as an indictment against that person as some, I don't know, some creepy, questionable association. That photograph with Stormy Daniels burned me so much with Trump because Donald Trump has taken photographs with tens of thousands of people. He's been a celebrity since the 80s. He's taken photographs with God only knows how many thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. Right? So you're going to hold up photographs of famous people and judge people based on who they're in the photographs with? That's crazy. Famous people take photographs with people all the time. Who it doesn't matter who they are. You know, they take that's what famous people do. Some of the famous people are actors, some of them are business people like Trump before he was president, some of them are politicians like Nancy Pelosi. I would not judge Fauci based on any of these photographs or associations. He's had to get along with everyone in government for 32 years to do his job. So there's probably photographs of him with Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, George Bush. There might even be photographs of him with Barbara Bush, for all the hell I know, and Nancy Reagan. I don't know. It says nothing about him. Part of the problem he has with people, there's two problems going on right now. One, a lot of people are judging him based on the Pelosi photograph, which they shouldn't do any more than we would judge Trump with the Stormy Daniels. You know, and he's an egghead. He's too much into the, you know, the statistics and everything, and people don't want to hear that. We're in a crisis, and people want this resolved, and they want it resolved yesterday, and they don't want to wait around for studies and statistics and all of these other things. And he moves too slow for the attention span of the American people during a crisis. But don't judge him based on who he's in photographs with. That's a very dangerous thing. Do you know everything about everyone you've been in photographs with? I don't. People take pictures with me all the time and have for years. You know, I run into a radio listener, they'll take a picture with me, you know, and I don't ask them who they are or their political affiliation or ask for a background check or do a credit history or anything. You just take a picture. Someone wants to take a picture, you take a picture. You know, so, you know, come on, give Fauci a break. I'm not saying I always agree with him, and he moves a little slow for me too in this crisis, but don't judge him because of photographs. And how are you going to run an organization like he does and not be friends with all of the top politicians that are responsible for your funding? You know, someone like him should be nonpartisan. He's from New York. He's probably a Democrat, but that's okay. There are a lot of Democrats. Just because someone's a Democrat doesn't mean that everything they say is wrong and there's some conspiracy around them. It's very counterproductive. I agree with Trump. If it was up to Dr. Fauci, the country would never reopen, all right? I mean, he's talked about this a couple of times. If it was up to the doctors, and you know that's what he's talking about. But he's not making the decisions. He's an advisor to the president, and Trump will make the decision. All right, listen, we'll take our first break of the last hour, 20 minutes after 8. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
We talk about charisma. Hormone replacement pellet therapy brings back a lot of things.
Okay.
One of the things I think it brings back is charisma, because I've met many listeners that are patients of Dr. Matez that I've met before they were patients of Dr. Matez, and I notice a big difference. And one thing I notice is a lot of confidence in guys after they start hormone replacement pellet therapy.
I agree with you 100%, Rod.
Yeah, yeah.
Get your mojo back. It's really
It changes your life. It changes the way you view the world. You know how I put it once? This was years and years ago. Looking at the world after having the hormone therapy, and you look at the world, and the world is like a technicolor. And when you give up the hormone therapy, it's like watching the world in black and white. It's just an amazing difference. Like
That's a fantastic analogy.
Isn't it? It's true. That's a big difference.
It is. As we get older, you know, we both physically and mentally break down, and we tend to get into a very black and white type of existence, a lot of people. Everybody's different, but when you get your hormone levels back and you get that vigor back, you feel good. Suddenly things are very bright and colorful.
And I experience this myself, and I see it on listeners, is I'll see a guy, and he's like, and then I'll see him after he has become a patient of yours and with hormone replacement pellet therapy. He seems like he's standing up strong, confident, 10 feet tall. What is it about hormone replacement pellet therapy that does that to guys?
I believe it's because you're putting God's nectar back into the body, basically. You know, God gave us testosterone in particular to give us energy and strength and endurance and muscle mass. It's what makes not just men, it's what makes people. And a lack of it takes all of those things away from you.
We'll meet with Steve Kane listeners at no charge.
Always.
What is the number they can call to make that appointment?
561-953-5490. 561-953-5490.
Hi, this is George Corey of the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954-597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
Yeah, and again, the Soul Authority, the house calls, if you are within the listening range of our radio stations, the Soul Authority's doctor will come to you. She will come to you no matter where you are within the range of our radio stations. And it's completely covered by Medicare. And everything they do in office that involves podiatry or the diabetic therapeutic shoes, they will do in the house call. Also, both locations of the Soul Authority are open for in-office appointments, right? The Tamarack office and the Pembroke Pines office of the Soul Authority are open for patients. So if you want the house call or you want to go in person, give them a call. The number for the Soul Authority, 954-597-7060. 954-597-7060. And again, that house call covered by Medicare. The doctor, she will come to you, and it is covered by Medicare. 954-597-7060. Okay, now that press conference yesterday was an epic press conference. You know, this president is so transparent. I mean, you know, you watch it, everything is transparent with him. You see so much going on. And yesterday, when the press conferences each day with the coronavirus task force, I really look forward to the press conferences, but in particular, I look forward to the Q&A portion. When it's time for the questions from the press, I get in front of that TV and I don't leave. You know, and sometimes with DVRs, you know, you can rewind live television, which is just a mirage. If my grandparents were alive and they saw that I could pause and rewind live TV, they would think it was witchcraft. They'd burn me at the stake in the backyard. I'm telling you. I mean, and this moment with the reporter from Hong Kong, the Chinese reporter, and President Trump yesterday, I heard it. I rewound it and watched it again. It was so incredible. Let me play this exchange. Where is this? Here it is. This is him with the Chinese reporter. Steve Kane Show. Hey.
China? Is it owned by China? No, is it owned by the state?
No, it's not. It's a private owned company.
Okay, good.
Okay, and it turns out that's not true. First off, there is no real private ownership in China. The state always has a stake, you know, and we find out that the private ownership is by party officials and former members of their army. But when have you ever seen something so honest about an agenda come out of a press conference? You know, I mean, that was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, she lied. She lied to the President of the United States. China has an agenda, and they've got a reporter in there. The only thing that comes close is Jonathan Karl, ABC News yesterday. This was great.
How long has that person been in the government? Did serve in the previous administration. Oh, you didn't tell me that. Oh, I see. You didn't tell me that, John. You didn't tell me that. Did serve in the previous administration. You mean the Obama administration.
thank you for telling me that. See, there's a typical fake news deal. Now, look. I told you what she was doing. You're a third-rate reporter, and what you just said is a disgrace, okay? You asked me, you said, sir, just got to put you. Take a look at what you said now. I said, when did this person, how long ago? Well, it was appointed in the Obama administration. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. You will never make it. Go ahead.
Oh man, I mean that was great, and it wasn't just because the guy I like scored a point with these two reporters with agendas. This is the most transparent president in history. We'll never have another president as transparent as this guy ever again. And there were two agendas coming out there. An Obama left-wing Democrat agenda from Jonathan Karl, and then the Chinese state agenda coming from the reporter from Hong Kong. And he called them both out live on television with millions upon millions of people watching because the ratings are very high. And let me tell you, the millions of people, you and I that follow Trump all the time, we see him like this often, but the millions of people that are watching these press conferences that are working from home or locked in, that don't normally follow news, issues, and politics, this is new to them. And when they saw those examples of him exposing fake news in the press conference, they're thinking to themselves, wow, he's right about this fake news media. I didn't realize. He caught them both, didn't he? And Jonathan Karl's worse because at least he's an American. The other one, she's a patriot for China. You know, what she did was right for her country. Jonathan Karl, I guess he's kind of working for China too. Mel and Boca, you are on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Picking up on what you and Steve were sort of disagreeing on yesterday at this hour.
Yeah.
The captain. I took that opportunity to call two family members who are retired Navy, one who worked carrier, and to consolidate. The stop in Vietnam is going to turn out to be very critical. And they both proposed something independently. What if the captain sent a coded message to the Pentagon before he stopped in Vietnam and said, virus in Vietnam, please advise, how do we proceed? And the brass, that's the deep state in the Pentagon, gets back to him with proceed as directed. Or they don't get back to him. They're silent on it, and he sends urgent messages. This would lead to a very frustrated...
Well, you're adding a lot of scenarios we don't know about when there's so much that we do know. What we do know is, luckily for the captain, the Navy secretary did something just as stupid as he did by going to the ship yesterday in Guam and doing what he did. So the captain is going to get away with his behavior with much less punishment, if any now, thanks to the Navy secretary's stupidity. But regardless of that, what the captain did, that we know that he did, was leak this information to the press about the readiness of a United States nuclear aircraft carrier, its flight wing, and if there's a carrier fleet group with it, I don't know, about military readiness. Okay, about the military readiness in the Pacific, and that's, yeah.
Cousin, who was on an aircraft carrier for years, said you never, he repeated it, let the enemy know where you are.
Well, not just that they knew where they are. This isn't run silent, run deep. They know where he is. There's, you could probably find it on an app on your iPhone. But what he did was leak information to the press showing that a United States aircraft carrier may not be military ready in a time when there's some hostility going on with China because of this of the COVID-19, and there's a lot of hostility going on between us and China, and a lot of questioning, what did China know and what did they do? And what that began, because I saw after that story, hold on, Mel, after that story came out, I saw some other stories come out speculating on U.S. military readiness worldwide in regards to coronavirus. And this multi-million-dollar expensive military operation off the east and west coast of Mexico is a direct result of the captain, because they want to show the world that the military is up and running, taking on our enemies. So the captain should be tossed out of the service and face charges. But the Navy secretary's screw up yesterday on board the ship saved him.
Yep. Okay, just wanted to give you that extra.
Okay, appreciate it. Mel and Boca, we got to run for the bottom of the hour break. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show. That's right, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hurricane season is right around the corner, and the predictions are that the 2020 hurricane season will be busier than normal, with 16 named storms predicted, 8 turning into hurricanes, and 4 growing into major hurricanes. That's according to scientists at Colorado State University. That's 3 more named storms and hurricanes, and 2 more major hurricanes than they predicted at this time last year. Do you have the hurricane coverage you need and the coverage you want for your home, condominium, or commercial property? In case a hurricane hits, call Debbie at I Will Advisors, 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. Debbie will review your policy at no charge and make sure you have the coverage you want and the coverage you need. Once a hurricane hits, it's too late. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors right now. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
I'm attorney Barry Siegel with the Siegel Law Group. Do you have a revocable living trust? If not, why not? Save time, save money, and avoid probate. Just $350 if you are single, and $450 for married couples. Call me. I have 5 offices throughout South Florida. The phone number is toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. Again, 855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. Steve will be back in studio tomorrow. You know, all Steve Kane Show sponsors are open for business, people, just in case you are not aware of that. All of our sponsors are open for business, including Richard Pearl's Simply Natural over in Sunrise. And I imagine if there was the zombie apocalypse, Simply Natural would still be open for business because Richard Pearl, he's a fighter. Hey, Richard, good morning.
You know, if it was happening, if it was a zombie apocalypse, we would just serve meat outside the restaurants. They'd have pickup, so they wouldn't eat other humans.
That's right. There's got to be some supplement to help those Walking Dead. There's got to be.
We would turn them into vegetarians.
That's a good idea.
Safer for the society. So Boris Johnson is fighting possibly for his life, and a lot of people who've had this virus, the reason they're fighting for their life is because they have too much inflammation. It's called cytokine storm. And this is a big deal because, you know, one of the things that we've talked about at Simply Natural is all the things that people should take to build their immunity towards infection. But a lot of the things that I bring up are things that actually have an impact on inflammation. And cytokine storms are really inflammation that's gone amok, that's gone extreme. And cytokines are secreted by specific cells of the immune system. They're called signaling molecules, and they mediate and regulate immunity. And one of the problems is they can affect inflammation. So when there's a storm, you have this abundance of inflammation, and the body basically is attacking itself. And there are some supplements that have been long used to help quiet things down. And it's funny because the things that we recommend, things like glutathione, but only in the S-acetyl form, because that's the form that works most effectively, beta-glucans, cordyceps, vitamin C, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, all of these have effect on immune or inflammation, both. So you have immune supports, you've got inflammatory response that are affected and calmed down by using, again, I'll just repeat the names, S-acetylglutathione, beta-glucans, cordyceps, vitamin C, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, these products. And it's interesting because nobody is talking about bringing down inflammation. You could also use enzymes, things like lumbrokinase or serapeptase or nattokinase. Any of those would also be helpful potentially. And nobody's talking about it. Also, very quickly, if you see the backlash towards hydroxychloroquine by the people who are pushing the idea of a vaccine, the whole idea at this point with this situation, and I talked about this heavily on Saturday's show that was repeated Sunday, was the fact that this is all in part, they want everybody to be on vaccines. After I did my show Saturday, Bill Gates came on television Sunday and said, everybody in the world needs to take a vaccine for this. There's a strong effort to do vaccines. They don't want anything therapeutic. They want to give everybody a vaccine. But hydroxychloroquine is a safe drug. I'm not into drugs, but it's been around since 1955. All the people who have lupus who have used this drug have never gotten this virus.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing that around the world that I have not heard a single lupus sufferer having coronavirus. And if there is one, they bring them out, but they seem to be the exception to the rule, and it's because they take that malaria drug.
Plaquenil. It's a synthetic form of quinine.
Yeah.
It used to be available in my industry. You could get it for leg cramp.
I remember. Yeah. I remember those days. Yeah.
Is a synthetic quinine. It's a at least in part, but I believe it's completely that.
And it's FDA approved, and it's FDA approved for the COVID-19. The FDA said use it. They're prescribing it in the hospital settings worldwide. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
People who take natural approaches towards lupus, which is an autoimmune disorder, which again is it's similar to a cytokine storm, not quite the same, obviously, but it's an overabundance of inflammation. So anything you do to bring down inflammation is going to help you avoid consequences. But the key is to keep your immune system.
Yeah. This is true. Well, I'll tell you, Richard, it seems to me the press, the media are hostile to it. It's amazing. Now, listen, Richard Pearl's been with us here on the show for just a few short weeks, but I've known Richard and known of Richard for many, many years. And if you have any health questions or concerns that you hear him address on this show, or some that you don't hear addressed on the program, feel free to give him a call or stop on in. His number over at Simply Natural is 954-741-4045. Simply Natural is open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and the address is 8271 Sunset Strip in Sunrise, which is immediately north of Sunset Strip on the east side of University. And again, 954-741-4045. All right, Richard Pearl, we will talk tomorrow. Absolutely, me too. Good morning. You are on the radio.
Yes, good morning, Brian. I would like to say I saw your video in Boca Raton with the skateboard. That was great because I was thinking of going up there. But anyway, I dealt with Mike Family Tire.
Yes.
Tires, I don't know, a while ago from him. But I just want to tell you, thank you for your show. It's really good, just as good.
Well, thank you.
But Japan, we don't hear anything about them with this virus, and they have a dense population like New York City, maybe even worse. And what's going on with that? I don't get it.
Well, listen, the mistake, when all this is over, we're going to know what the mistakes are. But I think one of the big mistakes, one of the big mistakes we're going to see in New York probably is the lockdown, because they're locked down in these huge some of these when I first went to New York, what amazed me more than anything about New York City was some of these apartment buildings have more people living in them that live like in the whole city of Tamarack or Margate. I mean, they're huge. So they locked people into these buildings, and what are they doing? They're socializing in the buildings. They're in the elevators. They're touching the same buttons in the elevators. They're down in the lobbies, in the hallways, socializing. And I think that's where the problem, I've heard Cuomo say that may have been a mistake, and about a week or so ago in his press conference. That's probably the biggest mistake out of New York, I would say.
That's fine, but like I say, but what about Japan? They're really close there, and I haven't heard anything of them having a big problem.
Well, they did well, it doesn't seem to be as bad as New York. This is true. Yeah, this is true. What do you think's the problem in New York? Other than it's run by Democrats, what's the problem with New York?
No, I could not tell you. But like I say, I read on the internet. I mean, I have problems reading sometimes, understanding what's going on. But Japan, they said they.
Yeah. Well, in other countries that have done lockdown, people think all the countries that have democracies are free, and they're not. America is the freest country in the world, and Americans don't like to be told what to do. They don't like to be told not to leave their house. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on. The problems in America where it's the worst are places like New York and certain parts of Miami where people live very close together on top of one another in big buildings. That's why there's a problem in the nursing homes, throughout the country. So that's the problem. Well, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear compliments. Oh, it really is. In this, I remember when I first started out in this business, I didn't get many compliments for a long time. So I'll take them when I can get them, and you can suck up to me anytime, people. But, when you look at what is changed in this country with the behaviors, as I was saying, and we finally, when this is all over, look back at what areas were hit the hardest, what areas were not, and why. People living on top of one another in New York City is why. Too many people in a building. The elevators are small. The lobbies are small. Some of the hallways, look at how tiny Manhattan is. And I know it's outside of Manhattan too, but you've got so many millions in this little tiny area. That's, sharing the ventilation system. That's the problem. That's the problem. Too many people living too close together and not enough fresh air. And that's why in places like most of Florida and elsewhere in the Midwest, where we're open air kind of societies, when I went to the beach on Saturday and I made a YouTube video down there, and I went to Deerfield Beach, where they have the pier, which is a great beach. You go to my YouTube channel, you can watch the video. And I was shocked at how much effort they've made to keep people actually off the beach. There were police officers down there, and they had the beach roped off, and they even had the benches roped off. You couldn't sit on a bench, and you couldn't walk out on the sand. Now, of course, you could walk down the sidewalks and the streets all over, and there were a lot of people around. But, I don't think there's a lot of controversy came up yesterday. One of the governors, was it Georgia? One of the governors opened up the beaches. The beaches in Florida, I think, should be opened up. The tourists are gone now. It's just locals now in Florida, except for some New Yorkers that snuck in, jumped the border into Florida before they started checking everyone. But it's mostly locals. It's mostly Floridians. And if they opened up the beaches with the social distancing that's going on, I think people would social distance at the beach. And as I'm going around in my community, cabin fever, oh man, people are antsy. They want to get out. And a lot of people are having a lot of trouble being locked up at home with their wives and their husbands and their kids, because most families don't spend so much time together as they're spending right now. And because they work and the kids are in school and they have different jobs, or maybe the wife doesn't work but the husband does, and they're working at home now and the kids aren't in school. Families are spending, and married couples are spending more time together than ever, and a lot of them don't like it. I know a lot don't like it because I'm hearing it from people that I know and hearing secondhand through people I know. Yeah, there is going to be, a lot of people are talking about a baby boom taking place when the lockdowns are over. Maybe, but I think there's more likely to be an increase in the number of divorces. We're going to see such a divorce explosion take place when the country gets back to normal, because people are going crazy being locked up with their spouses and their kids, and they don't like. I've seen some videos of people online, mothers in particular, that are pulling their hair out because the kids aren't in school and they're driving them nuts. I know. So the divorce rate is going to go through the roof. All right, let's take our last break of the day. When we get back, we'll be joined by William Youngerman with the Gold Report. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll take a break and be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beaten. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
Hi, this is George Corey of the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954-597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. Steve will be back in studio tomorrow. It's time to check in with William Youngerman with the Morning Gold Report. William Youngerman, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How you doing?
Great. How are the metals looking today?
Metals looking good. In fact, they've been very strong over the last couple of trading days, with gold up $38.90 yesterday, closing out at $1,660.70 per ounce. Silver back over $15, up 63 cents yesterday at $15.01 the ounce. Platinum up $13, closing today at $739, and palladium was up there down $69 at $2,049. This morning, gold continues to rally. We had overnight, gold got up to about almost $1,690. Right now, trading at $1,662. That's up $1.30. Silver's up 29 cents at $15.30 the ounce. Platinum up $3 right now at $7.42, and palladium up $26 at $2,075. So we are getting ready, I believe, to come close to challenging certainly the $1,700 number, which on the ask side actually traded up and over that yesterday, and the old price of about $1,949. It won't be long before we'll be probably looking at those and maybe going.
Wow. That's for sure. You know, I tell you, William Youngman, with the price of gold, which is just incredible news, I was expecting, because, you know, when we first had some stock market issues over the last few weeks because of the, you know, COVID-19, that people would be selling off, like, you know, things for cash, because a lot of people are out of work or they're furloughed and things like this. But gold seems to be going up and up and up. I just assumed the opposite would be true, because I thought there would be like too much on the market because people selling their gold because they need cash. But gold, I tell you, it's amazing what's going on with gold, and it's a great time to get in. Give William Youngman a call. His number, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. Online, williamyoungerman.com, and his office is located in Boca Raton, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road, in the lobby of the Bank of America building. And not only does he sell the metals, but you can also sell your metals. And, one thing that William Youngman, you talk about doing, which is a great idea, is if you have something made of the metals, instead of turning it into cash, you can turn it into a coin so you can monitor the value of it by knowing how much you have. So again, 1-800-327-5010. All right, William Youngman, we will talk tomorrow. All right, you too. Take care. All right, yeah, great news on the gold market. Oh, man. Well, here we are, winding up another day. Am I the only one when you watch the news, and Harris Faulkner, I hear her say this a lot, but I hear a lot of people on Fox say this, we are all in this together. And I was talking to a caller earlier about this. A lot of you may not know this. We are all in this together is, people all this phrase, which annoys the hell out of me. It is a lyric from the main song in High School Musical. It's the big song from High School Musical. I'm not going to sing it. I just watched High School Musical last week. I like High School Musical, and that's the title of the main song from High School Musical. So whoever came up with that catchphrase is a High School Musical fan, because that's exactly where it came from. We are all in this together. And it annoys the hell out of me when I hear that, because that's really not what I want to hear. When I hear people say we are all in this together, that doesn't sound hopeful to me. I'm like President Trump. I like to be positive. I want hope. I want uplift. And we're all in this together makes it sound like, does that, I don't know. Am I just petty, or does that annoy any of you out there? It annoys the you-know-what out of me. I hate hearing that, and I don't like it. And I've noticed a big tone difference. I've been turned on to One American News again. I downloaded the app on Friday. It was either Thursday or Friday last week. I downloaded the One American News app on my television. It's $5 a month to subscribe to it, and I've been watching One American News. But I do flip over to Fox. I got to know what's going on everywhere. I watch CNN. I don't flip over to MSNBC ever. I can't stand them. But I do check out CNN and Fox, even though primarily I'm a One American News person now. And I'm really enjoying One American News. But Fox News has been under attack by the rest of the media, accusing them of, being dangerous. They've been saying they've been dangerous and irresponsible because they didn't take the virus serious enough. And I've noticed over the past several days on Fox that they are becoming more and more negative so far as the entire situation. They're trying to compensate for these charges made against them by the rest of the media. They caved like that, which was a big mistake. First off, the rest of the media were wrong. But once they intimidate you into doing one thing, like they've done to Fox News is doom and gloom right now. I mean, Fox News, it's another one of those examples where, it's they want you to get the razor blades out when you're watching. It's very depressing and doom and gloom, and it's a direct response to the pressure from the rest of the media that they were not taking the virus as serious as they should, and they've done a complete change. And that's where this "we're all in this together" thing has come from. They use that more than they use, they dropped "We Report, You Decide" a couple years back. That's become the new tagline. Fox News Channel, we're all in this together. Really? Are we? Are we? I don't feel anyone over on Fox News is in anything with me. And I think most of you probably agree with that. Although I will say, Jesse Waters, he's been spot on with a lot of what's going on, and I pay close attention to Jesse Waters. And the reason I do is because he's such good friends with Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, and he's very close with them. And when I hear Jesse Waters talk about things, I feel like it's coming from the Trump family, that means that's where the president mindset is. And Jesse Waters is the one I first heard say yesterday on national TV, something I've been talking about today, that the press seem hostile to the malaria drug. They seem they don't want it to work. We don't know if it works or not. We're hearing a lot of good news. It seems like it is. But the press, they seem that they don't want it to work, right? They don't want it to be a viable treatment. And Jesse Waters was talking about this yesterday. And when I hear Jesse Waters talk, I just feel like that he's getting information from the Trump family, the Trump organization. So I do keep a close eye and an ear on Jesse Waters. But this "we're all in this together" seems defeatist to me. It's like we've lost, depressing, no hope. I don't care for it. I don't like it. And every time I hear it, even that as I'm talking about it now, I get the High School Musical song stuck in my head because I've seen High School Musical so many times. We're all in this together. I'm not going to sing it, I promise you. Hey, listen, we're all out of time, but we will be back tomorrow live at 6 a.m. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, for your continued listening, and we will be here live every day through all this because we're all in this together, right? No, but there have been a couple of days that I wanted to take off because I haven't had a day off in a long time, and I'm pretty wiped. And sometimes what comes out of the mainstream media is so depressing, it's hard to say, okay, we got 3 hours to go. You know what I mean? I've had those days. But I'm seeing nothing but positive news come out, and I promise you I will not be taking any days off during this crisis. The Steve Kane Show will be here live with you each and every day. All of our sponsors are open for business, including Friendly Tire in Margate, just so you know. And they're open on Saturdays as well. All of our sponsors are open for business. And I know you all have been continuing to use our sponsors. Thank you so much. And don't forget Wings Plus, the Ramblewood location, which is Ramblewood Drive and University of Wings Plus, that they are open for takeout for lunch and dinner. And when you stop in, mention the Steve Kane Show. All right, I would appreciate that. And Wings Plus, it's the same. Even though it's the Ramblewood location, the Sample Road location is going under renovations. But even though it's another location right down the street, still in Coral Springs, it's the same great food, all of it. It's still Brian Walsh's place. He has both locations. We just usually focus on the Sample Road location, the same great wings, same great everything over at the Ramblewood location. The phone number and address is right there at stevekaneshow.com. But if you want to order ahead, the Wings Plus Ramblewood location, open for takeout off of Ramblewood and University, the number 954-757-4950. 954-757-4950 is the number, and the address is 1235 North University Drive in Coral Springs. That's the Wings Plus Ramblewood location. And again, mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show when you stop in. And hey, pick up one of those Trump 2020 hats when you're in there too. All right, everyone. Again, thank you for listening. I'll be with you bright and early tomorrow at 6 a.m. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Make sure to check out my podcast, the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm on most podcast platforms. I also upload my podcast to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig on YouTube, where I live video stream the radio show each and every morning, Brian Craig on YouTube. All right, everyone, take care. We'll talk tomorrow at 6 a.m. Have a great day.
95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
All right, guys, you all take care. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'll see you later, all right?